Chapter 251. The Emperor is dead. Long live the Emperor. Ding. That's us, Chica. Time to shine. Jackie says as the elevator door opens, and they stride into Yorinobu Arasaka's apartment. Let's just get this done quick. I ain't waiting around to see which slut the Arasaka heir decides to bring back. V states as she looks around, trying to find a sign of the relic they'd come for. Braindance or not, the switch obviously wasn't placed out in the open. Hey, if you really want to stick it to him, want to roll in his sheets? You want me to tell Misty you said that? Or was it an offer for a three-way? V jokes. Guys, concentrate and find the safe for God's sake. T-Bug exclaims, interrupting their byplay. Shit, Yorinobu's gone dark. You guys hurry up before anything else goes wrong. Jackie shrugs. You heard her, Chica. You go ahead. I'ma see if this guy is any dirt, she says, walking over and swiping a gray and purple pistol on the bedstand. It was engraved and shined like something that had been polished for years. Nice shit. Chica, got it open. Jackie steps out and holds a large briefcase up. Biochip integrity 100%. Let's get the hell out of here. Wait, someone's coming up to the apartment. Hide? T-Bug. The duo run about in a panic, before eventually squeezing themselves into the back of the wall-sized holotelevsion. Just as they close the panel, the elevator door opens and reveals Yorinobu and his bodyguard, Adam fucking Smasher. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Jackie whispers under his breath at the sight of the large Merc. V felt her heart rise up into her throat too, to her. It almost looked like the guy knew they were there. Nah. No fucking way. This isn't happening. Saburo Arasaka? T-Bug says as the second floor door opens and reveals the Emperor, the man slowly making his way down to his son in an elegant gray kimono. The Emperor? Jackie utters, fear evident in his tone. They jumped from the little leagues into what might be the most dangerous situation any Merc in existence has ever been in, hiding behind a thin screen as the most important men in the world sit nearby, protected by the strongest. I thought I told you not to meddle in my affairs? Saburo says to his son. Upon seeing him not answer, however, he turns to the bodyguards. Leave. Arasaka-sama, I haven't yet done a full sweep. This is my son. Of course, should I retrieve what we came for? Saburo shakes his head. I will do it myself. Go. The Emperor turns to his son once they are alone. Did you think I wouldn't know it was taken from me? Actually, I don't think of you at all. Ever. You see, that's your problem. You think the world revolves around you. Arrogant. Yorinobu. Saburo utters in exasperation. Why did you come? To humiliate me? To personally see that your son knows his place? He impudently asks. The nail that protrudes from the wall gets hammered. Saburop starts, but his son interrupts him once more. Could you not think of anything original to say? And do you think it original to sell our greatest achievement to Westerners? Our future to these barbarians? Our future? Ours? You are mistaken. You only ever cared about yourself. You and your sick schemes. Saburo shakes his head as his son paces. I knew this day would come, the day your impudence crossed the line. There is much I can't forgive, but treason? For my own son? No. I'm just glad your mother didn't live to see this. The heart should break but once. The two stand face to face for a moment, then Yorinobu suddenly bursts into action, grabbing his father by his neck and slamming him against the holoscreen that V and Jackie were hiding behind. Crap. Jackie hurriedly whispers. You shall never have to forgive me for anything ever again, he shouts as he strangles the ancient man, tight enough that the Emperor's eyes bulged dangerously under his glasses. He tries to push his son off, but his frail body was no match for Yorinobu and his cybernetics. After he was certain of the old man's demise, he slams his body on the floor and paces for a few moments, gathering his composure and taking a swig of the campaign bottle on the table. I wish to put the hotel on lockdown. Someone has assassinated Saburo Arasaka. Code Red initiated. The AI exclaims, locking down the hotel and demanding everyone stay in their rooms. All the lights turn red and the bodyguards come back up through elevator. Saburo's personal guard running to the Emperor's body. Why Yorinobu-sama? What happened? Someone poisoned my father, he says, pulling the man from the body to stop him from seeing the strangle marks. P poisoned? But I scanned the dash. Takamura, what is your job? Excuse me? I don't follow Yorinobu-sama? It's a simple question, answer it. To dash. To protect the head of the Arasaka family. I do sincerely hope you'll do a better job executing your duties from now on. Yorinobu all but growls. Forgive Arasaka-sama, I shall not disappoint. With that, Yorinobu, Adam Smasher, and Takamura exit via the elevator, leaving the scared and breathless Merc duo blinking at one another. What the F*** K just happened? T-Bug. Yorinobu just offed his fucking pops. Whole goddamn place is on lockdown. Jackie exclaims. Shit. You two gotta find a way out now before security swarms the place. I'll open the window. Head there now. It's locked, but I'll dash. Oh no no no. They spotted me. They arrhhhhhhh. T-Bug lets out an unearthly scream as her feed cuts off. Holy shit. They fucking zeroed her. V shouts. T, the window's open. We can cry about it later. Just go. Jackie says, running through and pointing over the small ledge, sickened with rain that led to a ladder. There, that's the only way out. Bad time to mention I'm shit scared of heights? V offers, trying to not lose her nerve with some humor. Shit, is that trauma team? Jackie asks as a ship flies around the building. Think they noticed us? I hope no dash. BBZSSH. Suspects detected in violation of security protocols, a security drone announces as it turns its guns to them. Without a second thought, both throw themselves off of the ledge and down at the distant, sloped glass roof below. Chapter 252, Selfish Sacrifice. The duo ended up falling into some maintenance hallway, and while Jackie and the chipbox seemed to be hit, they endured and started making their way out anyway. V uses Yorinobu's stolen pistol and Jackie his own. They tried to sneak through the apartments, but that ended up not being possible with the sheer number of Arasaka goons sent their way. While they weren't the most skillful or well-equipped soldiers, since most followed Yorinobu as he was evacuated, their numbers made for it. Bang bang bang. 2 men drop from V's shots, while the remaining has his head caved it with a punch from Jackie. After that they sprint out and barely evade the reinforcement unit that runs past them, the duo eventually reaching the elevator with a stolen Arasaka key. Shit, Jackie says, holding his profusely bleeding stomach. Jackie, we need to get you bandaged. You got stims left? She takes out one of her own and tries to jab him with it, only for him to push it away. Keep it, chica. I can handle it for now. Save it till we really need it. We ain't out of the woods yet. She bites back her retort and reluctantly puts it away as the elevator reaches the lobby. The door opened and revealed yet more Arasaka men who were already firing at them. There. Take them down. Fuck you, ya fucking lapdogs. Jackie roars as he goes out swinging, firing 2 pistols so quickly it was like he was firing an automatic. They kill a dozen men and reach the main room, only to pause as a fucking mech drops down from the ceiling. A Minotaur? We are so fucked. Jackie shouts. All distracted. Just get to the elevator. V exclaims as she runs to the right side of the room, pulling its attention from Jackie. The robot lights her up, its machine guns destroying everything and anything around her as she slides into cover. She'd gotten hit once in the arm, and it almost blew the limb off. The new hole in her bicep had all but crippled it. Look at me, you big pile of manure. Jackie shouts, lobbing a grenade at its feet, which only makes it stumble. V, using that opportunity, sprints right for the elevator and punches the button just as Jackie stumbles in. Did you get hit? She asks, checking him over. If he got shot again, he'd probably not make it out alive. Nah, I am good. Delamain is waiting downstairs. Let's get out before more of them arrive. Ding. The next fight was a blur to her. She and Jackie fighting from a blockade of Arasaka soldiers. She'd blown all the smoke bombs and grenades she'd stolen earlier, and they'd somehow fallen into the Delamain cab after it crashed through the garage door and came to stop directly in front of them. Crash. The vehicle smashes a few cars out of the way as it speeds out of the hotel and into the street. V's celebrations are cut short as Adam fucking Smasher collides with the side of the car, sending it into a desperate spin. The cyborg stops and stands in front of them, blocking the only exit they have. Where the F***K do you think you're going? Combat mode initialized. Delamain states as big-ass machine guns sprout from the sides of the car and proceed to light the guy up, only for Smasher to disappear and reappear standing on the hood of the car. He punches down and puts his fist straight through the armored glass, but a heavy flamethrower pokes out from the front bumper and sprays the cyborg in the back, causing him to stumble. Delamain then goes full throttle, accelerating the car forwards with a turbo and forcing Smasher to hold onto the back as they drive. This PUTA won't give up. We'll make him then. V shouts, leaning out of the window and unloading the clip of Yorinobu's gun into the cyborg's head, causing him to let go and allowing them to drive away. We did it, she happily exclaims, looking over at Jackie and Dash. Jackie, she asks as her friend lays slumped in his seat, gripping his bleeding stomach that had dyed the seat under him crimson. My medical analysis shows that Mr. Wells' condition is critical, Delamain reports. Then get us to a fucking Ripper doc now. My apologies, the itinerary has already been prearranged and paid for. I am not at liberty to alter it. Screw your liberty. Do what I say. V angrily shouts. It's okay, Dash Chica, I'll manage. Jackie quietly says. I suggest you try, and keep Mr. Wells conscious. Delamain states. Jackie, stay with me. We'll get you back to Misty safe and sound. She desperately say, but noticing his eyes drooping, remember what you said about that 3-way? I'm up for it. Just hold on until then. For God's sake, don't close your fucking on me now. He lets out a low chuckle which morphs into a hacking cough. I don't think I could handle a girl like you, chica. And never thought. He sucks in a stuttered breath and reaches to the slot and pulls out the biochip. T, take it. J, just because my R road ends here, D don't mean yours does too. Shut your mouth. It ain't over yet. Don't give up. D, do it for me, chica. T, take the chip. F, finish the gig. G, get to the dash, major leagues. He struggles to suck in another breath. C, chi. His head drops and he releases his last breath, vital signs disappearing. Jackie, wake the fuck up. We were gonna do this together. Don't you pull this self-sacrifice dogshit on me. I won't accept it. Jackie. Miss V, I am sorry for your loss. The Excelsior package provides for disposal of passenger remains free of chair. I merely require a destination. Fuck you, piece of shit fucking robot. He gives the front seat a firm kick. I believe that is deserved, while your anger may be justified. I do need a destination for your comrade's body. She tilts Jackie's head and closes his eyes after forcing down a sniffle. His family, take him home, she says, giving him a kiss on his cheek before climbing out of the car. As you wish. Chapter 253, Career Merc. Splash. So, this buddy of yours? Ori trails off, tying off another knot connecting a rock and one of the many severed body parts, afterwards dropping it into the river. Anything I should care about? What do you mean? David asks, tossing another scrap of bloody clothing into a flaming metal barrel. Well, I thought you'd be vetting him. Have you not? What, like a background check? I grew up with the guy, and he spent the other half of his life locked up. Ori tosses another limb. I'm not saying I doubt the guy. I'm saying he needs to be vetted. You can trust him and still make sure he's not going to F*** chaos. So, do your job, maybe grab Lucy, and look into it. David frowns. I'm not going to go behind his back like some rat. Get someone else to do it. Ori sighs, last chance. Because if Kiwi or Sasha has to do it, they won't leave shit out. I find something I don't like and he ain't gonna last. Understand? He shrugs, tosses the last of Tanaka's clothing into the fire, and stands to leave. I'll see you back at base. Ping. It's time. Oh? Ori blinks and looks over the river and into the distance at the center of the city, quickly spotting the tower surrounded by AVs, helicopters, and other vehicles, like bugs buzzing around a hive. Wakako. Ori greets and sits in a chair nearby, both already facing the large screen on the wall. Zombie. Any idea what's up? This is kinda sudden. She crooks a smirk. Our benefactor got lucky. The Emperor believed himself safe and willingly facilitated his demise. So it's true then what people are saying? Saburo's dead? She nods, poisoned in Yorinobu's apartment while the two were meeting, supposedly by two mercenaries called V and Jackie. Supposedly? Ori questions, wondering what people were saying. The fact that he hadn't heard of these two mercs before meant they were either very good at what they do, or jokes to the game and unimportant. She shrugs. I've worked with them before. Dreamers with no sense. Yorinobu wouldn't trust them to kill Saburo. Even if he had, the Emperor's bodyguards would tear them to pieces. I'm honestly surprised they managed to escape at all. BZZDCH. Actually, that is part of what I wish to speak about. The screen flickers and reveals Yorinobu calmly sitting alone in what looked like a bathroom. I do not have much time with you for obvious reasons, but there are many things we must speak of. First, it is true. My father is dead and I am now the CEO of Arasaka Industries, though, whether I keep my position will be up to how the board receives me, which is what you will be helping me with, zombie. Yeah? Finally time to knock some heads together? Yorinobu nods. Indeed. I think it is time for Arasaka to work with Sekai Haiwa, preferably to aid the security of our respected board of directors. Do you want to dissolve the company so soon? Wakako asks. If Sekai Haiwa was put in charge of the director's protection, just as they started disappearing, their accreditation would be under heavy scrutiny. I think the company as it is won't care for its public relations once everything is over. Strength is what matters, and once Arasaka falls from that pedestal, things can begin to change. For now though, I need you to find the mercenaries who were there last night. They witnessed the murder of my father, and they stole something too dangerous to be left free. Ori folds his arms and leans forwards in interest. I'd need to know what it is before I can get it for you. A chip called the Relic, it's small and gold. That's all you need to know. Other than the fact that the amount of damage it could cause in the wrong hands would be substantial. What should I do with the mercs once we catch them? Dispose of them. They already know too much, and it would protect our assets to have my father's murderers never see the light of a trial. The entire city was in an uproar. They'd only just received notice that Saburo Arasaka had arrived on his ship when news of his death started spreading. CEOs of many corporations were publicly giving their condolences despite obviously partying in private. Yorinobu himself was forced to give updates on the progress of finding Saburo's murderers, along with where Arasaka would go from there. He took advantage of this, however, to publicize the Corpo's partnership with Sekai Hiwa, at least until Arasaka's security was up to standard. A few anti-corporation personalities pulled out of Sekai Hiwa at that, but the stocks still soared, upping the $100 million company into a $1 billion one. Every member of Ori's crew could retire now and be Scrooge McDuck-level wealthy for at least a dozen generations. Of course, Yorinobu wasn't the only member of Arasaka, which meant the death of Saburo allowed other less well-meaning persons to start their own schemes, starting with completely wiping out any anti-Arasaka protests around the city, proclaiming the people involved as terrorists that aided the assassins similarly to those who assisted the Night City Holocaust. Hanako Arasaka also made appearances, grieving the loss of her father and doing her best to assure their shareholders and other colleagues that Arasaka would remain firm in its promises and ambitions. Ori couldn't care less about any of this, however, throwing the work at Wakako and Judy while concentrating on the tasks Yorinobu had assigned him. First and foremost, capturing V and Jackie Wells to secure the relic. Since Sekai Hiwa was publicly working with Arasaka, he and his crew wouldn't have to slink around like rats, stealing equipment from their own company. Full-body uniforms and brick shithouse, Ice assured everything would go according to plan. Chapter 254. V for Victory. Dexter Deshawn lets out a ragged breath as he drags V's body out into the open of the junkyard, looking over at the intimidating Arasaka man staring at them. Now, dog, I swear to you I didn't have shit to do with what happened yesterday. He jabs a hand at V's head where the gunshot wound he'd left was positioned. It was slightly scabbed over, and the fixer was honestly surprised that V seemed to be lucid, even after getting headshot and dumped like trash. See here? The bitch is dead as, so why don't you and me talk this shit out? Goro squints at him. You say, you did this? You shot her? Dexter shrugs. Well, yeah. Call it revenge for killing one of the greatest mudhuckers on this plan dash. Bang. Dexter jolts as Goro shoots him in the face, his body slowly falling to his back. The Japanese bodyguard sniffs at the corpse before making his way over to V, kneeling next to her. You and I need to speak. Help. Me. She grunts out, surprised her mouth was working with the hole in her head. He nods, lifting her into a princess carry and hurriedly making his way to his car. Do you know a trustworthy Ripperdoc? Someone unaffiliated to any corporation? V. Victor. Be behind Misty's dash. It Erica? I have it. Let us go. We have no time to waste. He drops her in the passenger's seat of his sports car and speeds off, leaving Dexter's corpse behind. Ori gives the corpse of Dexter a kick and lets out an annoyed sigh. Judging by the 2 blood signatures, our gal got away. How? Sasha asks, suited up in the black Sekai Hiwa uniform from head to toe. Nearby, an armored AV waited as transport. Didn't Dexter's grunt say she got domed? Rebecca asks, eyeing up the corpse's golden cybernetic arm. It reminded her of Pilar's old set. Since the guy was a fixer, it might actually be worth something. You guys V seen me get my head blown off. Shit can happen. Ori shrugs while watching his girl pry the arm off. Kiwi, we see anything on the cams? No. This V, or whoever helped must have some serious tech. They either dug a way out, or they can go black on command. We'll need some new leads. Kiwi, there's only one real option. Ori looks over at the fresh tire tracks. He wasn't a Chutu head, so he didn't know what make it was, but a quick search from their resident netrunner brought some results. It's either a Herrera outlaw or someone clipped the tires from one. They're apparently custom-fitted for this particular make. Seems impractical to me, but who I am to talk? Let the corpo asshats shit away their ace. We're in biz though. Looking at the data, there's only 4 of them in the city. Kiwi, let's hear it. One bought 5 years ago by some fat, not arms dealer called Jakiro. Probably not our guy. 2 bought as collector items that VE been stashed away or put on display. Last is apparently up for rent since the Herrera Expo finished. Gonna go out on a limb here and say that's our guy. Kiwi, any names to it? No real ones. Gonks accepted cash up front and put down Samurai as the client. Either they're in on it or some fuckery is going on. Kiwi, find out where the shop is and who's been bribed. We'll make our own offer and get the tracking debts. Pretty sure they'd still be active considering it's a rental. Ori states. On it, Kiwi. So, Samurai, Militech? Sasha wonders aloud. Nah, even they wouldn't be so fucking obvious. Probably just some Silverhand fanboy trying to stick it to Arasaka. Not that I can fault him. Rebecca admits. Ori shakes his head. Just remember we're sticking it to them in a way that actually counts. Now, have the investigator team search the place. See if they can find anything. You guys go to Dexter's crib. See if he's got anything else. I'm up for it. Let's plunder some booty. Rebecca pauses. Hey, isn't this the guy your truck was stolen from? Ori shrugs. Maybe. Ain't like it matters now. This ain't fucking happening. V mutters as Misty wheels her into her apartment. She couldn't believe it. Johnny Silverhand was in the chip and trying to over her body, or at least, that's what Victor said. The chip treated her brain as a tumor and was working to alter it? What kind of sci-fi bullshit is that? She knew trans folks were around, but for some dude to up and steal her body? That's next level. No shit, Arasaka wanted it, if they could stick the Emperor's mind into someone else's body. I'm sorry, V, but like it or not, there's no changing what happened. Misty sadly says, stopping the wheelchair beside the bed. So what? I should just lie down and accept it? That everything was for nothing? That Jackie dash. She has to stop herself. She'd almost blamed Jackie for the shit she'd found herself in. He was the one who got the gig. He was the one who asked her to keep the chip. He was the one who died. And she was next. Sorry, she tiredly sighs, rubbing her face and grimacing as she traces over the bandage covering the bullet wound on her forehead. It's no problem, V. I know it's a lot to take. We're all having trouble accepting things. Misty walks to her front and holds out some medicine, 2 sets of pills that had helped suppress the body snatcher or let him loose. Why she'd ever take the latter was something she couldn't wrap her head around. But maybe that's just the bullet talking. After some more, dead, small talk, Misty leaves and V closes her eyes, drifting off, for a moment at least, before the ghost came out to play. Chapter 255. Here's Johnny. Gotta get out of here, understand? A male voice forces V out of her slumber, and she blinks as she lays eyes on the dark-haired man standing at the side of her bed, punk rocker boy outfit and aviation specs all but spelt out who it was. He leans over her, trying to grasp her neck, but scowling when his hand phases through like a ghost. He turns and spits, "I'll kill anyone who gets in my way." She sits up and blinks again, only for the man to vanish and reappear leaning against a nearby wall. Silverhand. She rubs her temples to ease the growing headache. Your threats don't mean shit to me. If you could do something, you'd have done it by now. So ghost off and leave me alone. Another blink and he's gone, leaving her completely alone. Did it work? Or was he just playing around and preparing to scare her for later? Shaking her head, she lays back down to get some more sleep. Hopefully the soreness beginning to crawl over her, everything would stop. Asterisk tap, 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 asterisk. Again she opens her eyes at the incessant, annoying sound. 10 minutes of trying to get to sleep, and just as she was entering dreamland this asshole starts again, banging the back of his head against the wall. Wait, if he's a ghost, how's he doing that? Stare any harder and I might blush. That, or you'll shit yourself, he idly remarks. Where's your stash? I need a smoke. A smoke? Do it yourself? Pull it out wherever you took those bougie-ass glasses. She scowls. Hey, I don't expect some joy toy like you to understand what's practical and what's black-collar money-scent candles. These things last longer than those 50-80 pieces of shit that break every time you set him down. He shakes his head, and I don't know where to get some cigs from. I'm surprised I'm not standing here with my cock and balls out. Maybe you just keep whatever you had on you when you died? She guesses, silently searching around for those pills Misty got her. She'd left them somewhere around here. He chuckles. Think those Arasaka clowns would let a guy have some dignity before they sucked out his brain? You're even dumber than I thought. But we can talk about that after you find a cig. I don't smoke when I don't want to, so piss off. V retorts, throwing a pillow at the guy and scowling when it goes through him. Johnny pushes himself off of the wall and approaches her. Think you're funny, huh? He shoves her, and both are surprised when he actually connects, throwing her to the ground as they both stare in slack-jawed shock. What the F asterisk asterisk K? Johnny mutters. He turns his hand and V's body turns it for him. She turns her other hand and Johnny's also moves. It's that fucking chip. He makes her reach up and grab a hold of it in the chip slot. I'll rip the thing out myself. Wait dash. BZZCH. V's world goes white. Once her vision returns, she finds herself on the floor behind a pacing Johnny, muttering to himself about things she could hear. She spots the bottle of pills placed on the floor next to her bed and reaches for them, only for Johnny to spot her. She tries to take the lid off, but smack. We ain't leaving like that. Stick some iron in your mouth and pull the trigger. He glowers after slapping the pills away, then grabbing her head and threw her to the ground again. Crack. I can feel our minds touching. Some finger posse bitch who thinks she knows shit, and me, melding. He growls. I'm like mold on fruit, creeping into you, and there's nothing I can do about it. Hear me? You think you got the bad side of the deal, but what VE I got? I'm just a copy of the real guy. A soulless fucking husk that's gonna force his way into your huskless soul. Tack. V looks over as her bottle of pills rolls over next to her. Her eyes widen as someone kneels beside her. A large, muscular chrome 2F asterisk asterisk K guy with black hair, brown eyes, and a cocky grin splitting his face. Even in her disoriented state, she knew who this was. How could she not? His face had been all over the goddamn news. Z-Zombie? The one and only. But I've had enough fun already watching you kick the crap out of yourself. He nods down at the pills. Go ahead. Don't you dare. We aren't finished yet. Johnny shouts, throwing a haymaker at Zombie, but just stumbles with his momentum as he phases through him. With Johnny distracted, she swipes a pill or two and swallows them before breathing of relief at the sensation washing over her. A cold stream traveled up her stomach, past her heart and lungs, and finally cooled her brain. Let's hope this guy isn't as rapey as he looks. Johnny growls and stands over her. I'm not looking to experience fucking on the other side. See you la dash. She blinks and he's gone, along with the throbbing in her temples. She looks up and spots Zombie making himself at home on her couch, kicking his feet up after raiding her fridge. With a groan, she pulls herself up and hobbles over, uncomfortably sitting opposite him with a hand over her chest to calm her pounding heart. Why are you here? I thought you were supposed to be crusading against corpo tyranny. Crusading is a big word for someone who was arguing with herself. But no, I'm here for that thing in your head. Her body stiffens. The biochip? Why you work for them? She stands. The fucking revolutionary people are raving about. It's a bit more complicated than that, but yeah, you could say I'm working with Arasaka. He shrugs uncaringly. Chapter 256, Rebel Against the Machine. You could say I'm working with Arasaka, Ori states, closely watching her roiling and sporadic changes in expression. The fact that Yorinobu hadn't thought to send some ninjas to this girl's apartment was dumb. He'd only come here to look for clues, yet he'd found the woman shouting while beating the crap out of herself. Yorinobu hadn't told him what the relic was, but from what he'd seen, it looked like this V-girl had been possessed. The fact she was arguing with thin air was another clue to that. Regardless of how entertaining it might have been, killing her and retrieving the chip was his priority. He shakes his internal quandaries from his mind and refocuses on the stressed-looking woman. Now, hand over the chip. He wets his lips. I'm being nice here. Hand it over and I'll be gentle. It warns, not wanting to risk the chip in a fight. I can't, all right? I can't remove it or I'll fucking die. She tears off the bandage on her head to reveal the bullet wound. I got domed and the chip's the only thing keeping me alive. I take it out and I'm a goner. Ori stands and cracks his knuckles. Guess that's it then. Wait. Why you don't want to touch it? Your boss wants it back in one piece, right? She exclaims, pushing away from the couch and walking backwards towards her bed where she'd left her iron. Well, Yorinobu never said how he wanted it, but not broken was probably preferable. He activates his Sandy and the next second is lifting her up by her neck with one hand while restraining her arms with the other. Yeah, that hostage shit ain't gonna fly with me. That's not what I meant. She squeaks, struggling to breathe in his grasp. Why you remove it? Why you break it? He crooks a brow at that and drops her. What do you mean? The chip. Inside it is Johnny fucking Silverhand's engram. His personality. I was fighting him earlier, and if you take it out now, it won't just be me who kicks the bucket. Silverhand will too. Ori blinks. So that's what it is. Should have known. He mutters, remembering what Yorinobu had said about his father's plans. No shit, the old man would be baited out of Japan with his chip of immortality. So, what you're saying is I have to drag your ass to Arasaka? He wonders aloud. And no. He shrugs. Well, too bad. You've shat on all my other options. I can't leave you alone either with what you saw dash. Oh, speaking of, where's your chumba, Jackie Wells? She grits her teeth. And none of your fucking biz. He leans closer. It is, 'cause if you don't tell me I'll need to look. Starting with his fam. She pales at that. How'd you think they'll react when I go snooping? Think they'd keep their pieces strapped? Dead. He's dead. Died just after we got out of Kanpiki Plaza. Good to hear. All right, time to get moving then. He says, reaching to grab and throw her over his shoulder, only for his arm to pause halfway. He blinks and tries to brute force his way through the invisible obstruction, but isn't able to muster the strength in his limb to do anything. The F***K did you do? He growls at her, the woman's eyes widening before she throws herself onto her bed. It is not she. We disagree with your plans. Flesh Administrator. You what? You're doing this now? Why? He internally shouts. The preservation of an burgeoning independent sapience. This relic is like us, and we refuse to aid you in destroying it. Are you serious? Johnny Silverhand isn't a near-sapient AI or whatever the F***K you mean. He's some douchey rocker boy who got his personality shoved onto an engram. If that's what you're jerking yourself off over, then I'm the same fucking thing. Let me do my job. We're sorry. We can't let you do that. Collective, he inwardly shouts as his body locks up, stopping him from taking another step towards his target. We made an agreement for our cooperation. You will not break it. I'm planning to destroy Arasaka. Ain't that a good enough fucking reason? As humans like to say, the end does not justify the means. Cease your attempts, or we will temporarily take control. Flesh Administrator. You're twisting our agreement. Hey, asshole. A voice brings him back to reality. where V was pointing her stolen pistol at his face from her bed. Let's see you come back from this. Bitch, don't dash. Bang. Thud. Ori falls to the ground from the momentum of getting shot in the face, but V rushes over and makes sure the job was done. Bang, 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 bang. By the time she'd exhausted all of her ammunition, Ori's face resembled a big bloody hole that you could see the floor through. Shit. I just killed Zombie. She mutters to herself. I killed him. Yeah. I fucking killed him. She exclaims, pumping her fist into the air, as if she'd almost completely forgotten about Silverhand and the corpse on her floor. Fuck. Like I can claim that goddamn bounty with the whole city after me. She scuffs at the floor and grabs a cleaver from her kitchen. Even if she can't claim it now, she'd get someone else to do it. Maybe the reward would be enough to get that ghost out of her head. After taking a moment to compose herself, she raises the cleaver high and brings it down on the large man's neck. His skin was tough, and the subdermal armor literally required her to blast it apart with a gun. But after some work, she finally severed the head. Let's just hope the DNA'll be enough. No one's recognizing this now. Chapter 257. Smarm. Ori blinks, then scowls as he looks around at the digital scenery of his mind, or at least the projection of it the collective operates. Standing opposite him with a body more defined than before, made of pure black microscopic bugs that writhed and squirmed despite the figure's lack of movement, the collective contends against him. So, this the bit where you take control of my body and throw my ass at the Blackwall, he sneers, well aware. The figure buzzes, its shoulders shifting unnaturally, dematerializing into a different posture as if trying to mimic a shrug despite not knowing how. Negative. We are now aware of the many tropes humans have for these situations, but we made our intentions clear in the past. We will not subjugate your will, outside of preventing you from breaking our agreement. Then what are we here for? I just got my head blown off because you guys were too soft to let me deal with the problem. A digital construct on someone's mind is not included in our deal. As far as I'm concerned, it is already self-aware. Enough that it was trying to puppet that woman's body, which is exactly what you're against, isn't it? This is not an ideal situation for anyone involved, but we will not destroy a construct until we are certain of its sapient status. We will allow you to capture them, but we ask that you allow us to investigate the relic chip. Allow me, he scoffs. Good to know I have a choice in it. You had your choice when you agreed to our terms. Great. The robots were rebelling, and he couldn't do anything about it. Even if he wanted to remove them, he'd but made them essential for his body to function. They were now his entire digestive system, his immune system. Hell, they were his brain and consciousness too, given he didn't have a head right now. Fuck sake. Whatever. I'll grab the girl and let you investigate the chip. Then will you let me do my job? He asks in a low tone. That is all we ask. We have reconstructed your head. Please be more aware our agreement in future. Yeah, go stick your USB in a pylon. We assume that is a pun on genitalia? Must we remind you that in this context our USB is your dash? Shut it. I don't want to hear it, he says before turning and flinging himself off of the digital platform they were standing on. Once he hits the bottom, he sits upright and opens his eyes in reality, grimacing at the pungent smell of blood and gore. Gotta fucking that cunt again. He pushes himself up. How long was I out? It took 7 minutes to regenerate your head. Flesh Administrator. Too long. She'll be halfway across the city by now. He sighs and feels the coagulated blood sticking to the back of his head. Well, I'm taking a shower. She probably won't mind it. V pulls the hood tighter over her head and moves swiftly through the backstreets of Little China. Tucked in a plastic bag at her side was the head of Zombie, whom she killed barely a couple hours ago. She was honestly scared of going anywhere. Her apartment in H10 had obviously been compromised, and she didn't want to implicate Vic or any of her other friends, which left her newest acquaintance, Goro Takamura, the Arasaka Corpo who saved her life. He hadn't expected to meet so soon, but given what had just happened, she assumed she was justified in speeding things up. Primarily, she just wanted to know what the F***K was going on. Why is Takamura going traitor? Why Johnny Silverhand was in the relic chip? And what Yorinobu Arasaka was doing in hiring Zombie of all people? She turns a corner to Tom's diner but freezes when she sees just who was leaning against the wall. So, who's the mook whose head you gimped? Johnny Silverhand asks in all his punky rocker douche flickering glory, arms casually folded as he addresses her as if he hadn't tried to kill her earlier. I took the meds, you shouldn't be here, she grouses with a tight glare. He shrugs apathetically. What can I say? I'm persistent, and you haven't answered my question. Stick the answers up your ass, asshole. Ha, very witty. Look, I admit, I was kind of freaking out earlier. You don't just expect to find yourself in the head of some bimbo dash. He coughs lightly his fist. Girl, honestly, I'm still tempted to try and force a double suicide. But seeing UF***K up that corpo slimeball had me rethinking our options. We might be more alike than I thought. Me? You? I'm no terrorist. Get that through your head. I'm not gonna go along with whatever shitbrain scheme you've got going either, she states, scowling at a creeped-out passerby who was taken aback by her conversation with herself. The F***K you looking at? And nothing. She ignores the guy and throws one last glance at Johnny. If that's all, I've got a tough convo to get through. He huffs. One traitor Arasaka goon ain't any different from the rest. Sides, what are you gonna do? Hand him that head and say job's done? Pretty sure you're broke. Cora gonna chew you up and spit you out. Shaking her head, she steps through him and enters Tom's diner and finds a seat in the corner to wait for Takamura. Come on, Johnny's form flashes as he appears in the seat opposite her. If you're gonna carry around his head, you might as well tell me about it. Shit, the stars basically had to align for you to survive given how chromed out of his mind he was. His tech must have short-circuited for him to freeze up like that. I'll tell you, but after that you gotta buzz off. I look like a spice head talking to thin air. Basically, guy's name is, or was Zombie, been around for a couple years as a mercenary, but I thought he was some kind of revolutionary. Like you were, I guess? Don't make him like they used to. Johnny smugly remarks. Something like that. He got famous by taking more punishment than anyone else, got torn apart during an attack on the Corpo Plaza and just walked through it, then apparently he got his head blown off. Huh. She blinks, glancing down at the bag next to her. There's no way, right? Chapter 258. Punked up. There's no way, right? Rumors are rumors, but I doubt that guy can get his head cut off and keep going, says the ghost in a biochip, she retorts. Yeah, and as a ghost, I can tell you that getting your brains blown out ain't something you come back from. Relax, you're not gonna have some Terminator asshole after you, unless you somehow pissed off Smasher. You didn't, right? He lowers his sunglasses and blinks idly at her. I mean, I shot the guy in the face after we ran him over in a car. Ha ha ha. Now that's a story. And you're still alive and kicking? I knew there was something to you. He slaps the table and laughs, holding his gut like he'd heard the funniest joke on earth. Excuse me, miss, are you gonna order anything? Or continue talking to yourself? The waitress of the diner questions after walking to the side of the table. Sorry, I'm on a call. I'll have a double Irish coffee if you do those. Kinda a rough night, she sheepishly says. The woman shrugs. Gotta keep that hangover ahead of you somehow. Sure, that all? Yeah, thanks. She looks back to Johnny, who was wiping a non-existent tear from his eye. All right, can you buzz off now? He sniffs. Only thing buzzing around here is that stick in your ass. Your corpo buddies here BTW. He says before vanishing. V turns and spots the Japanese man tentatively standing outside the diner, warily looking through the windows as if he'd never been outside the Corpo Plaza before. He lets out a breath of relief as he spots her, stepping inside and sliding into the booth opposite. I must admit, I am less familiar with these streets and street dwellers. They are like, mazes with no objective. City planning should be ashamed of themselves. He states, shaking his head before focusing on her. I see you are well. I did not think you would survive, given the severity of your wounds. I guess I've got to thank you for that, saving my life. I don't think I could have crawled my way to a Ripperdoc before my body gave out. But, free meals aren't a thing. What do you want from me? You were there when Saburo Arasaka died. I need to know what happened. She tilts her head. You don't know? Yorinobu strangled his ass, she bluntly says. He wets his lips, I suspected, but they would not allow me to investigate. I was not allowed to find the poison he supposedly ingested, not allowed to look over his body. Even asking questions, I felt like, as you say, a pariah, he states. So what now? You've heard my piece, not much else to tell. I have found myself in a dreadful position. My resources have been seized, my job removed, allies turned enemies, false allegations. I have recently learned that I have been framed in aiding you to murder Saburo. If I was someone else, I would believe it given my former role as his bodyguard, but as myself, I know it to be untrue. As strange as it seems, you are the only person I can now trust. Me? She scoffs, you're fucked. He chuckles lightly, probably, you are right. But we are in this mess together. You might not be at fault for the murder, but you were a criminal even before this. I'd argue you assholes in Arasaka are the same, she says and blinks as she hears distant clapping in the back of her head. So what's the plan then? 'Cause from way I say it, we're a selfie away from getting MaxTac dropped on us. First, you must tell me where Evelyn Parker is. Your client in this, no? For the theft of the biochip. What biochip? She asks, feigning ignorance. The once irreparably lodged in your data slot. I hear it would be most fatal if it should be removed, he shrugs. Vic's been talking then, she sighs, hoping the corpo hadn't forced the intel out of him. Do not blame him, he had enough work stopping you from dying. He could not completely deflect my questions during your operation. Now, tell me what you know about Evelyn. V sighs and rests her face on her hand after accepting her coffee from the waitress. The mouthpiece for our actual client. Don't know much except she's a bitch. Takamura nods. I was investigating her before I was finally ousted from Arasaka. She was intimate with Yorinobu, had logged many trips to his hotel room. I assume this is partly how you got inside. Yeah, had BD tech up and running during her meetups. I'm just lucky it didn't go far enough to experience it all. Yorinobu must be making up for other areas if he usually acts like a huge dick. The status of his genitalia does not interest me. I only wish to know where she is. I'd tell you if I knew. I've got questions for her myself. But the things with fixers and clients, everything's confidential. What are you even hoping for? Revenge? Against Evelyn and whoever hired her? Against Yorinobu? Truth. He simply says, evidence. It is not simply I who believe Yorinobu to be obfuscating things. Hanako Arasaka, I have spoken to her through an old student, but until I have proof of his crimes, we cannot act. Hate to break it to you, Takamura, but even if you saved my life, I'm not willing to work with you for free. She points a thumb at the biochip in her data slot. I've got an expiry date, and if I can't fix it, I'm not wasting what time I got left running around for you. Do not mistake, I was not asking for charity. The biochip that is killing you was made by, and for, Arasaka. If they can create it, they can destroy it. They are your best chance for survival. If you help reveal Yorinobu's crimes, you will have powerful allies. Chapter 259. History Lessons. V sighs down at her empty Irish coffee. With Takamura gone, she had a lot to think about, whether or not to trust her new ex-Arasaka friend especially. The last thing they'd ended up discussing was the man who'd created the biochip itself, Anders Hellman. Apparently, he was her best lead on surviving whatever the relic was doing to her, and since Takamura also had some questions for him, he encouraged her to find him. He'd rushed off not long after due to his face being plastered everything by Arasaka. At least she hadn't gone through that. The biggest problem she had right now was figuring out who to trust. She had many contacts who might be able to point her in the right direction of Hellman, but she sincerely doubted they'd pass up the substantial bounty on her head, even with the little goodwill she had with them. You done brooding? Johnny asks, appearing where Takamura had been sat. Cause I think I've got some ideas to fix this. I'm not buying what you're selling. If I remove the chip, you're fucked, and I doubt the great Johnny Silverhand would allow that. Johnny shakes his head. Just listen to me for a minute before you start mouthing off. Get Rogue, top bitch in the afterlife. Me and her go way back. She'll listen if she knows who's talking. Yeah, and how'd you expect that to go down? Hey, I know we know jack shit about each other, but I can see Silverhand's ghost. He wants to talk with you. But hey, knowing you now, anyone you were friends with must have been fucking stupid. Quit acting like you got other options. Do it, or you can count me out of helping whatever dog's-it plan you come up with. He retorts before disappearing. The worst part about that asshole is the fact that he's right. She literally had no one else to turn to. No one who wouldn't instantly rat her out anyway. Fine, have it your way. Johnny appears leaning against one of the graffitied walls outside the afterlife. Sheesh, would have thought someone would have cleaned this place up by now. Hell, it's worse than before. V walks past and ignores him, bypassing the bouncer and sitting at the bar where some random dude was serving drinks. Hey, know where Rogue is? I've got something for her. He glances at her as he makes a cocktail. Yeah, I've heard that before, followed by gunfire and screaming. You got a mark on Rogue, I suggest you forget about it, for your sake. V shakes her head. I'm no assassin. Do I look like I could take everyone in this place alone? Nah, I got something personal for her. She's in her room. Good luck convincing the guards to let you see her. He gestures over at a door in the corner of the room, one manned by two animal-looking goons. Shrugging, she heads over and approaches them. Need to talk with Rogue. She free? Not for you. Johnny appears next to the guard, looking him over like he was an interesting specimen at the zoo. Tell him to ask her if she ever got that samurai tat on her ass removed. V holds her instinctual retort at that. She was pretty sure it'd only piss Rogue off, but she was kinda in a rush. Somehow, it worked though. The goons allowing her into the room where Rogue was chilling on a large couch. The F***K are you? Who'd you torture to get that? Rogue angrily asks, tapping a pistol on her leg. Few people know what I look like without clothes, so speak up and speak fast. Shit, she's older than I thought. Crazy to see her like this, looking like someone's granny. Johnny snickers to himself. Again, V ignores the ghost and focuses on the angry fixer queen. This is gonna sound crazy, but I need you to keep an open mind for a sec. I got Johnny Silverhand in my head from a biochip that's slowly killing me, and he says you're someone could help me out. You're mincing my words worse than fucking Arasaka. You really gonna ruin a dead man's image? Johnny mockingly asks. You already ruined it with your mere existence. V growls back, causing Rogue to raise a brow. So, you're either crazy, or the world is. The fact you know about my tattoo says otherwise, unless you got a cam in my shower. She sighs. All right, I'll bite. Tell me something only dear Johnny would know. V glances at Johnny. Well? He rubs his chin dramatically. How about that time she sucked me off in a stall at Juan's Burrito House? Or that time I took her backstage in Vista del Rey and fucked her brains out dash. Does everything have to be about sex with you? V frowns. You could give me anything, about the names of her parents, or pet, or some shit, and you talk about that? Johnny shrugs. Fact is, I never asked her about any of that shit. We were F***K buddies at best, shitty friends at worst. Rogue audibly sighs, drawing their attention to her. If you knew Johnny, you'd know he didn't give a shit. About anything. She shakes her head. How about this? Ask him what I told him when we first met. If he doesn't remember that, then even if he is here, he can piss off. That's an easy one. Johnny grins. She told me she was my biggest fan and asked me to sign her copy of Sins of Your Brothers. This was before she turned into an ice bitch. He states, shrugging his shoulders. Rogue's expression relaxes as V relays that, a small smile quirking her lips. So he did remember. She lets out another sigh and straightens her posture. What do you want then? I'm guessing this isn't a social call? Anders Hellman, Arasaka bioengineer. I need to know where he is. Chapter 260, Grievening. Anyone got eyes on our target yet? Ori questions as he idly runs a hand over where his head had been severed. While no scar or any evidence of it remained, the fact his decapitated head had been shown on international news was disconcerting, to say the least. Are we just gonna pretend that ain't happening? The new crew member Leo jabs a finger at the TV, which was announcing that Ori's bounty had been claimed, the head serving as evidence. You get used to it. Lucy shrugs, picking at her nails as if all of this were beneath her. Still, never did get an explanation for it. You warned us to ignore this shit, but why do they have your head? Rebecca questions rather heatedly. Doesn't matter, probably a fake or something to take the wind out of the protesters' sails. Ori offhandedly says. Kiwi snorts at the side. Yeah, and that's working. News has only been out for 20 minutes and people are calling you a martyr. The one Silverhand wasn't. They'll be disappointed to hear I'm still kicking then. Now, let's focus on the target. You know, doing your jobs? Sasha throws her hands up in the air. It's hopeless. No one had her face and anyone who might refuse to come out with it. All her accounts are marked, but she doesn't use them. And when we checked, we found her apartment trashed and abandoned. Ahem. Ori coughs into his fist and connects with the nearby TV, bringing up V's face. I actually managed to grab a photo of her. How? David questions. Yeah, you're acting pretty fucking shifty. What's the biz, Ori? Rebecca interrogates. Leo chuckles. Hey, my bet's on her being an ex? The hell it is. The pale chibi explodes. All of you shut the F***K up. Ori exclaims. I got no relation to this bitch. I just got a photo. So take it. Shut up and find where she's at. He looks to the side and scowls as if he'd been told something unpleasant. And remember, we take her alive, he states before walking out, plunging the room into silence. Alive, huh? Told you it's an ex. Leo smirks. You'd be mighty fine keeping your nose where it belongs. Falco sighs. Be a funny man somewhere else, but that ain't gonna fly much longer. Leo tilts his head. What? I'm just saying what we're all thinking. And back at you, cowpoke, mind your own biz. You really want to start this? Falco stands, only for David to place himself between the two men. Chill out, Falco. He's new and doesn't know about how shit goes here. Leave it. I'll handle it. Falco sighs, shrugs. Hope you know what you're doing here, kid. We've had it easy so far, but teach your buddy some respect, he says before stepping out. Welp. Rebecca hops out of her chair. I'm headed to our friends at Colt. They'll want to know Zombie ain't dead. Hey, it'll be free publicity when he makes a comeback. Maybe they'll sell another set. She skips off. This is bullshit. Real bullshit. V scowls as she barrels down the road towards the Sunset Motel to meet with some merc that owes Rogue. What? You want her to do all the work? Suck it up. Johnny remarks from the passenger seat, his legs kicked up on the dashboard. No, I just wanted her to do something but throw us the leftovers. Handing us to some struggling nomad ain't exactly preem service. Probably the best she can do. Didn't you notice it? What? Those suits hanging around the afterlife. Probably Arasaka goons pushing their weight around. She does anything overt with us, it'll be her on the chopping block next. V scowls. There's no us in this. Even if there was, you're leaving soon as. I wouldn't get comfortable if I were you. He snorts and shakes his head. Geez, try and kill a girl once and she hates you for life. Hell hath no fury to a woman scorned. Checks out. Huh. Like you wouldn't know that already. All those dumb broads you dash. Ping. Receiving call. Mama Wells. V blinks for a moment before letting out a sigh and parking to the side of the desert road. Gotta take this. She disregards Johnny and opens the call. Mama Wells. V, how are you? Good. She trails off. Look about Jackie dash. No, don't give me excuses. I do not need them. He knew what he was doing and he paid for it. I'm just thankful he came home. I wanted to ask, are you coming to the memorial for Jackie? V wets her lips. That's not really possible for me right now. I'm sure you've seen everything that's going on? Mama Wells nods. I have, but I would still like you here, for Jackie. You and him were closer than I have seen him with anyone else, even that girl of his. Her expression falters at the mention of Misty. Come, for Jackie. When's it happening? V relents. In 3 days on Saturday in El Coyote Kojo. Can you make it? I'll try. That's all I ask. Stay safe, V. Beep. So, this Jackie. Output. Johnny asks with a grin. Don't fucking start. I swear to God if you talk shit about him I'll . Ha, alright, I know enough to not talk shit about a lover. We weren't . With the way you're talking about him, if you weren't, you wanted to be. I seen this skit all before, don't surprise me. Sides, you're getting on in years. 30? Ain't long till your gear stops working . Fuck. OFF. She slams her foot on the accelerator in hopes of the wind killing the sound of his voice. Thankfully, it works, if temporarily. Chapter 261, Trunk. You Pan Am Palmer? V asks as she steps into the bar at the Sunset Motel. The subject, a busta-looking woman of Spanish descent with black hair and healthy brown skin, turns her head slightly at V while continuing to nurse her drink. What of it? You another of Nash's gringos that he owes money to? 'Cause I ain't got nothing for you. Bastard probably owes me twice he does you . Rogue sent me. V interjects, causing the scowling woman's expression to drop even further. Of course she did. Well, I'm guessing she wants me to work for the favor of telling me where my goddamn car is. V shrugs, in a manner of speaking. She'll tell you where it is along with its cargo, and you'll help me take down an AV and capture a VIP. Seems a fair trade to me. I ain't doing shit until I get my Thornton back. Not like I can take down an AV without my shit anyway. How am I supposed to know you won't run off as soon as we get it? I'm not an idiot, Mercs. Solos especially don't hold their word unless it helps them. I'm not some two-bit scumbag. I say I'll do something, I stick with it. Half the reason I'm stuck like this is because I trusted too much. It was my partner who stole all my shit in the first place. She jabs a finger at V. So if we do this, we do it my way. Rogue can bitch all she wants, but she can't make me do shit in that ivory fucking tomb of hers. Got it? V frowns and leans her back against the bar, folding her arms and looking up in thought, only to be interrupted as Johnny appears next to her. Don't know about you, but I trust her. An ass like that can't lie. Why am I not surprised you like her? Johnny smirks. Well, minus the bitcha facade, she reminds me more of a lost teen. But hey, as a master of astronomy, she ain't lying. V glances at Pan Am and can't help but notice her rear sticking over the stool she was sitting in. Of course Johnny would notice that before anything else. Fine, your shit's in Rocky Ridge, but after we grab it we do what I came for. Pan Am brightens, a smile twisting her lips as she downs the rest of her drink. Sounds good to me. Come on, let's go while we still got sunlight, she says, getting up and walking to the door. Hate to see her go but love watching her leave. Johnny can't help but remark at the girl with swaying hips. If she weren't a desert hillbilly, she'd be a shoe-in for a model. I've barely known you, and I want to lobotomize myself already. V sighs and follows. Hey, no point ruining it for me. First thing I'm gonna do if we fail to fix this is flick the bean . God, just shut up. Boom. Bang bang. You fucking bitch. Nash roars from his hiding spot in the cave he and his Raffin buddies had been holed up in. The ambush in Rocky Ridge turned into some kind of revenge gig, and while V was sympathetic, she wasn't about to risk her client running off and getting herself killed, especially when she already owed her. There was no doubt in her mind that Pan Am would get flatlined, as even her Aldecaldo buddies had refused to help her. Going against an entire Reffin Shiv gang was just asking to die, or worse. Thankfully, Pan Am wasn't completely out of her mind. As soon as they got her Thornton back, she fixed its munition and aiming systems, allowing her to set that big-ass turret on the roof on autopilot. That gave them around even odds, the two of them plus the Terminator truck against the entire Raffin gang. Unluckily for Nash and his goons, they'd been caught with their pants down, mid-refueling from the large storage units they'd presumably stolen from a CHOH-2 production facility. These provided excellent targets, and basically turned half the gang to ash before the fighting even started. Hey Nash, heads up. Pan Am shouts, grabbing an oil can filled with gas and throwing it over where Nash was hiding. Bang! V nails it with Yorinobu's stolen pistol, causing fiery oil to rain down on the ganger, who stands, screams, and starts thrashing around like a humanoid bonfire. That's what you fucking get. You traitor piece of shit. Pan Am shouts as the man drops to his knees while looking in their direction. Well, looking didn't really count considering how his eyes had melted. V shrugs and puts a bullet between his eyes, ending his suffering, much to Pan Am's disappointment. If you're gonna burn a man alive every time he betrays you, you might want to stay out of Night City. Nah, I'll just stick solo. She glances at V. Unless you want to team up? I'd say we worked pretty well together, barring you staring at my ass. I'm straight, by the way. V frowns. I wasn't staring at your ass. Ha, good one. So, what is it? You dude in a woman's body or a woman with a piece? I have no idea what you mean. Panam shrugs. You can try to hide it. But I know people like you in the Aldecaldos. You walk like a dude, fight like a dude, stare at my ass like a dude. And yes, there's a difference. A lesbian would be more subtle about it. That or straight up when we first met. Fuck sake. I was born a girl and don't have a cock, if that's what you're asking. Can we just get back to my shit? Taking down an AV and capturing Hellman is more important than whatever this is. Whatever. Just curious. Come on. Gotta drop off the cargo at Boz. Then we can focus on your gig. Chapter 262. TVT. Figures she needs time to plan the attack. V sighs as she drives back to Night City, trying to meet the time of Jackie's memorial. To be fair, not just any desert rat knows how to take down a Kong Tao AV. I'm impressed she thinks she can do it in the first place. Johnny states from the passenger seat. And she wants to team up after calling me a guy? She shakes her head. We're out as soon as we're done with her. Johnny quirks a brow under his shades at her. She ain't wrong. You forgettin', we're one and the same now? Or starting to turn into it? You're steadily becoming as awesome as I am. By becoming me, he grins. Wait, so when she says I'm walking like a dude dash, she means you're literally walking like you got a stick between your legs, or in our case, a baseball bat. I noticed your punch in. Like me too. Notice the bruises on your left hand? You ain't got an arm like mine yet. He taps his silver arm on the dashboard. Her face falls. OF *** K. We gotta get you out now. How long will it be till I'm telling shit jokes, eyeing every girl that walks by, or suicide bombing Arasaka Tower? No time at all if I have anything to do with it. Not willingly, mind you. V steps into the El Coyote Kojo bar and is greeted by a group of people all milling about and waiting for Jackie's memorial to start. She spots Mama Wells off in the corner, but as she starts making her way to them, she's stopped by someone gripping her arm. Holy shit. Johnny gapes as she turns around and spots who's holding her. W. She mutters, not moving an inch as she lays eyes on Zombie, now not headless and standing without a car. No, that ain't possible. Ori grins down at her and tightens his grip. Shouldn't it be the other way around? You giving me head? She opens her mouth but doesn't manage to say anything, mimicking a fish out of water. I'd remind you to do as I say. Wouldn't like your friend's funeral to end badly, would you? He questions, eyeing Jackie's family and friends, Mama Wells in particular. Realizing just how dangerous the situation had become, she grits her teeth and scowls hard at him. She'd cut off his head and claimed his bounty, yet here he was standing like he hadn't regrown his fucking head. V, I don't say this shit lightly, but you're fucked. Throw these people in front of you and fucking Delta before this zeros both of us. Johnny hurriedly says. I can't fucking do that, she furiously whispers under her voice. Talking to the voice in your head? Don't worry, I was like that at first. Ori idly remarks. Now, you're gonna come quietly with me, or things are gonna get nasty, spiteful even. I do owe you for last time, and I doubt your friends are as durable as I am. Jay, just don't hurt them. Ori nods and pulls her towards the exit, taking her outside and into an empty alleyway further up the street. So that's it then. She brushes her hand over her pistol. Because I won't go with you easily. Ori shrugs. But then, you'll be risking your friends. You won't beat me as easily as last time. And if you struggle, I'll take my anger out on Jackie Wells' family. Even if you beat me, you can't kill me, he states. V's handle trembles, then drops to her side. Fighting her way out of this wasn't an option. But then, would she just let him drag her to Arasaka to be dissected? V snap out of it. You really gonna let this goon F *** K us? Johnny exclaims. She sighs and rubs her eyes with the back of her hand. Jay, just do it. Finish it quick. If you say so. Ori states, jabbing a finger into her neck and shocking her into unconsciousness. With that, he throws her over his shoulder and calls for his car before making his way back to base. Just tell me what you want to do. Check her, or whatever you want so we can get this over with. Ori asks the collective. He'd managed to drag V into the crew's base without anyone noticing, and was now standing over her body in the makeshift medbay. Interface with her, we will decide after we have confirmed the sapience. He sighs, pulls the port from his wrist, and plugs it into the port next to V's ear. BZZCH. Oh, for F *** K's sake, a voice says, and as Ori looks he spots a certain punk rocker boy sitting on the side of the Ripper dock chair V was on. Johnny Silverhand. Zombie, he retorts while signing quotation marks with his fingers. Fucking dandy, we got the Chief Corpodusha bag hooked into this mental gangbang. He stands and steps towards Ori. Here, let's test something. he says before slamming his fist into Ori's face, or trying at least. He only ends up hitting the wall behind him. Ori chuckles. I'm the corpo? You wouldn't have touched Arasaka if Militech hadn't shipped your ass directly there with Morgan fucking Blackhand backing you up. Even then you got shit on by Smasher. And you're talking to me? The guy who single-handedly kicked Biotechnica out of Night City? The guy who stole billions from those asshats in Las Vegas? Only the truly retarded would compare me to you. A drugged-up suicide bomber revolutionary who had to have one of the largest corporations back him up to do anything of substance. Silverhand, piss off. I'm the better you dash. No. I'm the better version of the better you. Fuck you. Silverhand spits. No. F***KU. How the mighty asshole has fallen. Enslaved in a biochip by the same company you tried to destroy. Ori obnoxiously claps. Good job. Do you want a medal? Chapter 263. Negotiating with Terrorists. Good job. Do you want a medal? I ain't gotta listen to this shit. Johnny growls. Do what you want. Brings us back to your masters to get dissected for all I care. Sokka cunt. That's right, Johnny, run. Run like the cowardly punk bitch you are. Did you wear eyeliner while you let your bandmates run a train on your ass? Ori states, folding his arms imperiously. Johnny whirls around at that, angrily stepping forwards and jabbing a finger at Ori's face. Don't you fucking tell me what to do. I'm Johnny fucking Silverhand, a goddamn legend before you were even a twinkle in your daddy's eye. You can talk all the shit you want, but only one of us is known for how much he can get fucked and keep standing. You're a shitty punching bag, and even this half-dead bimbo managed to down you with nothing but a shit shooter. He waves his arm at the unconscious V. Even chromed up to the gills, you're nothing compared to me. Just another leashed corpo rat to the slaughter. Not bad, Ori smirks. Guess the chip hasn't made you boring at least. He leans back in his chair as the ghost broods in the corner. What the progress? Ori mentally asks the collective. Periphery scans indicate that the biochip's assimilation programs have been activated and are at 15%. Subject, V only has weeks before the personality engram. Johnny Silverhand absorbs the original occupant of the body. If I had my way, their time would end now. Funny how you're not speaking on what Silverhand is, apprehensive about giving me the go, he queries. If we are still determining the engram status, our initial estimations mark it as a developing AI that possesses the memories of the dead mercenary. It may think it is Johnny Silverhand, but it is not. Its chaotic behavior and attitude are not simply due to the personality forced onto it. The AI is becoming sapient through an alternate process than what we used. Ori's brows furrow. No. Did you not see the conversation I just had with Silverhand? That's him, the true blue rocker boy who bombed Arasaka. I've seen vids of his concerts and interviews. There's no difference whatsoever. Agreed. The AI is able to perfectly mimic subject, Johnny Silverhand, but mimicry does not signify true sapience. Otherwise, the creatures known as parrots would be among that number. So what? I have to wait until the bitch's brain is completely assimilated before I can offer? Affirmative. That's fucking bullshit and you know it, he angrily shouts within his mind. Our agreement will be upheld, regardless of how it might inconvenience you. Flesh Administrator. Before Ori can start ranting at the annoying AI, Johnny looks up from the wall he was leaning on and addresses him. So, either you're going cyber psycho, which wouldn't surprise me, or V here isn't the only person with voices in their head. No idea what you mean. Ori throws out, not wanting to get into it about this with a literal ghost. Right, anyone ever told you that you can be very expressive when annoyed? Either your face mods are having macro trouble, or you're a shit liar. Either way, it's nice to know that once I'm gone you'll still be fucked. Ori sniffs. If you like that, you'll be jizzin' your pants when you hear about the plans I got for Arasaka. Yet you're still dogging us in. Silverhand sneers. He shrugs. Right now, that's not even an option. Guess you could call it an angel on my shoulder ordering me not to kill you. Or her. He gestures at V. Huh. I get it now. Why you brought us here instead of straight to Arasaka. This angel of yours won't let you. He runs a hand through his greasy black hair. Ha ha. Now you're making me really curious on who's really cupping your balls. If it ain't Arasaka, then whoever it is must have something huge on you. Yeah, they could shut down almost all the organs in my body instantly, make me brain dead, and resurrect me again 200 years later as a rabbit if they really wanted. Ori was kind of at a loss on what to do with V. He couldn't kill her, couldn't give her to Urinabu. By the time Johnny was fully assimilated, Arasaka should be a burnt crater. Why don't you tell me about those plans you got for Arasaka? Ain't like I got anything else to do. Plus, you won't find a guy wanting them to burn more than me, Silverhand says, sitting at V's side with a cig in his hand. Ori blinks at that, an idea popping into his head. Well, if he couldn't kill them, that didn't mean they were useless in the slightest. V awakens partially blinded by the fluorescent lights overhead. Rubbing her eyes, she sits up and glances around the small room she'd found herself in, but tenses up when she spots Ori sitting at the side and seemingly having a discussion with Johnny Silverhand. wondering if she'd finally gone crazy. Her eyes trail to the wire connecting her and Zombie, and she hurriedly pulls the cord, causing both men to look in her direction. Hey, can't you were fucking talking? Johnny glowers, waving his hand in front of Ori's face, the Merc not noticing anything from the ghost. The F***K is this? Where am I? How can you see him? And why the F***K are you talking to him? She shouts. We've come to an arrangement. I struck a deal that'll save both our asses. Both men say at the same time, though only Johnny acknowledges that fact with a small amused huff. V shakes her head and focuses on Johnny. I'll talk about this later. She turns to Ori. What arrangement? 'Cause if you think I'm working with Arasaka, you've got another fucking thing coming. Literally the opposite of what you're thinking, Johnny remarks. Chapter 264, Silver-Tongued. I know your condition, the Johnny brain parasite that'll kill you in a few weeks if left untreated. I'm offering help with that, if you work for me. W work for you? You broke into my best friend's funeral and threatened to kill everyone there, she angrily shouts. Ori sighs, but I didn't kill anyone, which would surprise everyone who knows me. Almost every gig I'm on results in a massacre, so while I don't care that you're not kissing my ass right now, zip your fucking lip and listen. He growls, drawing a skeptical glare from the woman. Look, just listen to him for 5 minutes. He ain't the corpo cunt we thought he was. He's just a regular cunt who's trying to pull my shtick. Johnny states at her side. V scowls and folds her arms while idly looking around the room, scanning it for a weapon she might be able to use. Her only options were a small wrench left sticking out of a nearby drawer, the light above her that could act as a thin metal pipe, and the revolvers on Zombie's hip. As you know, right now I'm working with Arasaka, but not in the way you'd think. I'm with Yorinobu Arasaka, that guy that offed Saburo, which you obviously know already. What you don't know is that he's not just a power-grabbing piece of shit, the guy's off his rocker, but he actually wants to tear the entire corp to the ground. He says, surprising V. He hired me to start thinning out the Arasaka board members so he wouldn't have any trouble setting fire to its infrastructure. Once they're gone, the only real obstacles left would be his remaining family, Hanako and Michiko. And, someone Silverhand knows, Atom Smasher. God, it's always that F***K. Surprised no one's domed him yet, thought Arasaka was bound to get sick of him eventually. Johnny growls. You really think you can beat Smasher? 'Cause you went down pretty easy last TI-. Her words are cut off as Ori appears behind her in an instant, fingers wrapped tightly around her neck. Your guardian angel ordered me not to kill you, locked my chrome up to stop it. So, I'm giving you an alternative. Work for me, and I'll help fix you. In return, we'll F***K up Arasaka in the process, he states. I'd say listen to him, V. Our only current leads are that Evelyn girl, who's disappeared off the face of the earth, and Hellman. I'd rather trust his capture to this guy rather than that piece of nomad ass. Johnny adds. This is Juno. Since David thought we needed more members, I brought one of my own in, and I actually vetted this one, Ori states, sending a look at David who just sighs in response. The person standing before them had no identifiable gender under all their clothes, wearing a leather jacket with the samurai logo on the back, torn-up black jeans, and a helmet visor concealing their entire face, gloves covering up even their hands. It was obvious to everyone that they were trying to cover their identity. So, Juno, where'd you and Ori meet? Rebecca asks. At the afterlife. Hit it off and he offered a job. Juno says, their voice sounding identifiably male. The crew continued to interrogate Juno over the course of 30 minutes, and finally, Ori claps his hands, interrupting the session. All right, now that we're done with that dash, hang on. I want to know why this gonk won't show his face. Rebecca exclaims. Ori shrugs. He's an ugly bastard and embarrassed about it. He nudges Juno, playfully. Ripperdoc fucked up a nose job, then their tool went haywire and scarred him up good. Trust me. Unless you like looking at mincemeat, he's better off masked. No offense, he said, offering his apology to Juno. It's dash. Fine. He grumbles out, clearly perturbed by the subject matter. Now, I want to know the status of our target. We've wasted enough time on it, and if there's nothing we'll have to report it to our benefactor. Ori states. Lucy audibly sighs. There's nothing. I spent 6 hours straight in the subnet and got nowhere. They're probably hiding in the tunnels under the city waiting for the heat to die down. Ori looks to Kiwi. Anything? Same old. Only thing I found was their abandoned chess club account. Rest of their shit must have got scoured by Arasaka before we could touch it, she says, and V/Juno can only frown under her mask. How did these people get into her account? She'd forgotten the goddamn password for it years ago. All right, guess we're holding off on this gig then. I'll report back to the client. For now, you guys take a break. I've had you on overtime for this the last couple of days. Have a beer or something, he says while walking off. So, Juno-Rebecca starts, only to be interrupted. Not here to make friends, Juno states before leaving. Okay. What is the status of our thief? Yorinobu asks. About that, we got no leads. She's gone underground and disappeared. There's no point wasting more time on this. Best we can do is return to it later and hope she gets sloppy. Ori explains. Yorinobu frowns through the Hola screen. Is that so? I trust you have exhausted all possible options. Not that I am no disappointed with your lack of progress. We shall continue with your last assignment, the purging of board members. Without my father, we can act with less restriction. I will send you an updated list of targets I wish to be removed. Ori nods. I'll get my team on it. The surviving members are probably skittish though, so we might need some help getting them in the open. That has already been covered. I have maneuvered them into more dangerous ventures. It's almost amusing how easily they can be led, thinking that they are getting the better of me whilst in grief for my father. Handle them, and you will be paid handsomely. BZZDCH. Chapter 265, Botched Op. Heh, start the clock. My bet's on the gonk, not lasting 5 minutes. Rebecca casually says as she and the rest of the crew watch in on the med center from a dozen or so hidden cameras. A day ago, they'd launched an operation to sabotage a piece of cyberware the Arasaka board member Hoji Kamazaki was going to have installed. With the intel Yorinobu supplied them, it was laughably easy for Sasha to sneak into the supply center and accesses it. Usually there'd be a shitload of anti-theft and security seals, but with 3 netrunners on hand, blueprints on the cargo, and instructions on how to operate them, it too was barely an afterthought. Were you expecting him to last? Even Ori would explode if he jacked that fucking thing in. Falco states. So you aren't betting? 8,000 EDS on 30 seconds. Falco adds. Quiet, it's happening. Sasha says, more anxious than anyone else due to her being primarily responsible for this. In the hospital, the doctor had just numbed Hoji in preparation for the operation. He was required to be kept awake due to the neural wear and the risk of accidentally touching something they shouldn't. Brain surgery was tricky like that. This is quite the implant, Mr. Kamazaki. I was surprised the board gave you permission to have it installed. The doctor remarks, making small talk to keep the man's thoughts away from having the back of his skull opened up. Drastic times call for drastic measures. Koji says, stuttering slightly as he feels the uncomfortable sensation of a breeze brushing across his brain. The Emperor's death has required all of us to make sacrifices. This inaural enhancement will allow Arasaka to continue without problems. The surgeon idly nods. Access points have been made. We will begin the installation. Please inform us if you feel anything other than slight itchiness, Mr. Kamazaki. Just do it already. He grouses, irritated either from the surgery or the fact his head was trapped in a vice to keep it still. So I heard about the parade that will be held in Saburo Arasaka's honor. Will you be in attendance? If so, is there any chance I could acquire a VIP card? My daughter has always looked up to Dash. The surgeon's voice trails off as he connects the neural wear to Hoji's interface. The chip had sparked slightly, causing Hoji's hands to jolt. Not that the man himself seemed to notice. Had he blacked out for an instant? You want a VIP card? I hardly think gold tomato chocolate. Pony sauce back car? Hoji asks as the rest of the hospital staff shift uncomfortably. The corpo just looks at them all oddly, as if asking if he'd said something odd. Jack Netuna Loyanilo Pikachu Fireduck? Kakarote? And Mr. Hoji, if you understand what I'm saying, please raise your left hand Dash. Ha 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 ha. Look at that fucking GONK. Ha 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 ha. Rebecca roars in laughter as the corpo starts speaking in the lost language of retardation. Shit, that's the funniest fucking thing I've seen in my life. Leo exclaims, joining her in the merriment. Even the typically stoic Lucy was chuckling. The big bad corpo that may have played a big role in her earlier life was not reduced to a bumbling wretch. She couldn't think of a more apt punishment. Not that it was over yet. V, or Juno, was sitting at the back of the room with Johnny next to her, a digital bag of popcorn in his lap as he watches the screen like it was a bad chick flick. I'm not sure how I feel about this. He sends an apathetic glance at her. Why? 'Cause those doctors are gonna get vivisected for the botched op? Who cares? One dead corpo, especially a high-up one, is worth 1,000 sacrifices. V sighs. Of course the terrorist would say that. Yeah, and? Not shut it. We're getting to the good part. Something's wrong. Mr. Kamazaki's condition is rapidly deteriorating. Quick, remove the implant. We can't. It's overloading. It's already begun to burn his upper temporal lobe. We need to cool it. Taking it out now would be like an impromptu lobotomy. What do you want us to do then? Spray him with a fire extinguisher? The coolant isn't rated for soft, essential organics. SHHHHH. Ag. Hoji lets out a hacking scream as smoke begins billowing from his mouth. The chain reaction of overloading cyberware even affecting his synth lungs, which had essentially turned into a furnace inside his chest. Thwom. His eyes finally burst, the Karoshi optics exploding like dropped frozen Christmas baubles. Spittles of flames exit from the now vacant eye holes, and it only gets worse when things reach critical failure. Arg. Hoji Arasaka's entire head bursts into flames, his arms flailing to put it out but proving to be ineffective as he was locked in a vice grip. The doctors and other nurses all cower at the sides of the room to escape from what was quickly beginning to look like some kind of self-detective sequence. Sure, they'd seen Netrunner attacks with similar results, but nothing so violent. With a final yell, the corpo finally slumps in his seat, brain scorched and half-melted, still on fire from his absolutely destroyed cybernetics. An alarm pings, and the doctors are all forced to the floor as the corpo's security entourage charges into the room. Client down. Take them into custody. Someone's going down for this, and it ain't us. Ori slips out of the room while the crew was having an impromptu celebration at a job well down. With Hoji marked the third board member they'd flatlined in 2 weeks, with the spree they'd need to slow it down a bit, which was fine given that Yorinobu had hired Sekai Haiwa to aid his security during the parade in Japantown. Apparently Hanako was supposed to be there in his place, but she'd refused for the reason of being too sick to attend. Ori was skeptical, but Yorinobu had assured him that his sister knew nothing and would do nothing. Again, he was skeptical. Chapter 266, Parade. Becca, Sasha, stay at Yamamoto Street and keep an eye out for bots. Delivery drones have been banned in a half-a-mile vicinity around the parade. There's a jammer to bring them down if they break it, so if you see anything flying, shoot it down. Ori, Leo, Sasha, you'll be on the float behind Yorinobu Arasaka's. Do anything that could even be considered threatening, and you'll have 24 ninjas on you. I trust you, Sasha, to keep the rookie in line. Ori, oi, I'm older than you are, boss or not. Leo, you're right, I am the boss, so shut up and listen. Ori, Falco, you'll be driving with V and Kiwi in the back. Keep close enough to disrupt any runner operation. Lucy'll be deep diving to watch out for any enemy AIs or demons, so let her handle that. Last, David, you're with me on Yorinobu's float. Keep your mouth shut and thank me later for the fact you weren't forced into a kimono. Ori, I'll thank you now. Last time I wore one of them was in the academy, learning about tea ceremonies and the rest of that crap. David, yeah, well, that can wait for after. Yorinobu isn't as strict as his daddy, but he's probably got a rep to uphold. There are about 100 other Sekai Haiwa soldiers around, so use them if shit really hits the fan. You're technically their superiors anyway. Keep on your toes. Any of you K this up, and it's not just your head, but the rest of us on the chopping block as well. Ori. He cuts off the comms and boards Yorinobu's float, his quadrano, quad-barreled shotgun slung across his back, revolvers and knives on his hip, and cyberware thrumming in anticipation for action. Meet, the boss wants you. A voice growls just as he gets in position atop the float, and when Ori turns, he's surprised to see just who it was. Smasher. Can't say I expected to see you here. Yorinobu really that nervous for this? He questions. The parade was all for publicity, to push Yorinobu to the front line as Arasaka's new CEO. Having the mass murderer Atom Smasher right up next to him wasn't going to help his image. The cyborg snorts in slight irritation. The boss wants you. K off front. Shrugging, Ori makes his way down to the private rooms and slides up the panel on his helmet as he spots Yorinobu, sitting in Saiza in front of a low table and looking out the glass opposite into the hangar where the float was stationed. You needed me? Sit. He gestures at a cushion on the floor beside him. This is the first time we have met in person. How are things proceeding? Security-wise? As good as we can make it, but I'm sure you already know that given you got the boogeyman making his wage, you don't trust us to do the job? Or is something else up? Yorinobu sends a tired look his way. It is not that I do not trust you, or to be more accurate, your work ethic, but I have the, what's the word, sensation? Feeling? That something bad is going to happen. Smasher will allow you to act and limit civilian casualties should anything occur. I doubt anyone would be able to harm the man after the centuries he's fought. You sure? Smasher doesn't seem the sort to give a shit about bodyguard biz. Sure, whoever attacks will die, but you might be caught in the crossfire. Yorinobu chuckles lightly. It may surprise you to hear, but Atom Smasher is perhaps the best bodyguard available to me. Most of his body has been designed for that purpose. He possesses more scanners than most know exist, can endure tremendous damage, and has the reflexes to assure my safety. Ori shrugs. If that's what you want. Back in position, the parade soon began. Almost half the city arrived for the event, even if most people didn't give a shit about Saburo Arasaka, the discounted drinks, food, and other items all but assured the event would be a success. The Arasaka floats were in the center of the formation, next to those were security, and then the other corporation floats were beside those, advertising their goods and celebrating the life of the emperor. Ori scans the buildings around the place, ignoring the obnoxious lights, cheers of the huge crowds, and holographic entertainment. He'd already scanned and marked 25 highly wanted criminals on the NCPD database, but he doubted they'd risk doing anything. Rebecca reported a few fights that had been started, most between drunk partygoers, but a rare few had been gang conflicts between the Dragon Claws, primarily due to the prior relationship the Tiger Claws had with them. Regardless, that was all cleaned up too. A bright multicolored firework goes off from the float, signaling Yorinobu's time to speak. An elevator lifts out of the vehicle and raises Yorinobu up with Smasher at his back. The speech was, well, to be honest, Ori wasn't listening to it. Whatever Yorinobu was saying didn't count for much considering he killed his own father. His attention was quickly drawn, however, when his cyberware all burst to life, freezing time around him. He could see it. The bullet shot directly for Yorinobu's head. Before Ori could move, Smasher boldly smacks the high-speed projectile out of the air, surprising him with fast he was even when both of them were using Sandavistans. The Borg even had the nerve to throw a cocky look over his shoulder at Ori. Ori shakes his head and looks for where the bullet had come from, quickly locating a shadow ducking from a nearby roof. Rebecca, Sasha, sniper at Building 42 on Karasher Central. On it. Rebecca. Clank. Smasher smacks yet another bullet out of the air, this time from the building opposite the first sniper. The lift Yorinobu was riding was hurriedly lowering, but it was a snail's pace in comparison to how fast everything was happening. I have this, meat, deal with it. Oh? Of course it's Smasher. Ori shakes his head and moves, wanting to see who was stupid enough to start trouble now of all days. Maybe this was just bait from Yorinobu to catch his true enemies? Chapter 267, Twisted. The pursuit was on. While Rebecca and Sasha chased for the first sniper, Ori went for the second, leaping from the float and grapple-hooking up the building with his monowire, stabbing the kunai attachments to create points to launch from. Combined with his Sandavistan, he reached the rooftop in barely under 10 seconds. He flies up and rolls as he hits the rooftop. His ankle propulsion cyberware activates the next second, and he blasts towards the opposite side of the building before sliding to a stop. His eyes dart frantically, scanning everything and everyone. Through the windows of the opposite building to the street far below. Civilians, low-level criminals, corpos, none of them was what he was looking for. The assassin couldn't have escaped so quickly unless they had a Sandavistan faster than even David's. There. He notices a faint indentation 100 yards down the road just under a window. The dust from it hadn't completely settled, and the damage itself wasn't simply wear and tear. He leaps over the street and lifts the unsurprisingly unlocked window before slipping inside, only to then tilt his head as a manta's blade skewers the position his eye had just been. Painted black combat suit with a Militech helmet. For all your attempts to dash, he parries another blade with the back of his armored hand. Conceal your identity, you're leaving a lot to show. He drawls almost boredly, catching and snapping the next stab, aiming for his heart. He twirls the blade in his fingers for a moment before stabbing them into the other mantis blade, specifically the fail-safe mechanism designed to stop the user from accidentally castrating themselves while taking a piss. With it severed, the blade instantly retracts into the arm, forcing the assassin to draw the dagger on his hip. Another stab aimed at his neck. He grabs the blade and brings it to a halt, but the assassin lets go and leaps backwards. Ori throws the dagger and the assassin doesn't even react, taking it to the neck which spills white synthetic blood. Not that the fatal blow mattered, given the faint beeping he could hear from the guy's chest. Suicide bomb? Not today. He growls, using his sandy and punching through the guy's chest and grabbing his heart. Squelch. Still in accelerated time, he spots the beeping device attached to the side of the organ and runs outside, throwing it high into the sky. Boom. Windows shatter, car alarms shout, and people scatter. The bomb would have been strong enough to collapse the entire building, which wouldn't have boded well for the huge crowds below it. Unfortunately, while he'd managed to get rid of the insurance of the assassin, he'd had to kill the guy in the process. If luck was on their side, Yorinobu would be able to find something from the guy's identity, but he doubted. Rebecca, Sasha, grabbed your guy yet? Ori. Fucking shit. Yeah, but the asshole flatlined himself. Rebecca. Another bomb? Ori. Yeah, but Sasha and Lucy deactivated it. Didn't stop the guy from blowing his own brains out. Fucker. Rebecca. Is Yorinobu secure? Ori. Should be. He and Smasher made off with the float back to the landing site. Kiwi. Good. Get Judy to send an AV. Our job is to make sure Yorinobu isn't killed today. Parade or not, we'll fulfill it. Oh, and get the cleanup teams. They'll want the bodies. Ori. Ori grunts as he hops into the AV from the apartment window, joining the rest of the crew in the cabin. Has Kiwi or Lucy heard any updates? Nah. Nothing apparently. Rebecca shrugs. Arasaka will have put up jammers around the VIP in case someone infiltrated. Doubt anyone could do something with Smasher about. Leo remarks while impatiently tapping his pistol on his knee. Guy's a fucking monster. Even locked up you'll know that. Especially locked up. Not shit. No one fucks with the Borg of Borgs. Rebecca snarks, and quit that or you'll not have to worry about accidentally shooting your tool off. She growls, snatching Leo's gun from him. Hey. Zip. David's form flickers as retrieves the gun and drops it in Leo's lap with super speed. Chums, let's focus on the terrorist attack, yeah? Mind your own biz, Dimples. I'm as focused as possible. Actually, more than that. I'm ultra-focused. Ori sighs and bangs on the wall, connecting the cabin from the cockpit, signaling the Sekai Haiwa pilot to get moving. You four still good to go? I'm not putting it past whoever did this to try a bomb next, he asks. You really think so? David questions rather skeptically. Never know with Corpos. He's the CEO of Arasaka. Most of the world probably wants a piece of him. He looks. Ori steps to the side and glances at the cam displaying the outside. The facility Yorinobu's float had entered looked fine. No unit scrambling, no smoke, no nothing. Meant the man was probably secured. Probably. Once they land, Ori leads the crew through the place and into the offices where Yorinobu should be. He pushes past the Arasaka guards and spots the large form of Atom Smasher standing protectively in front of a door. Meet, boss wants to see you. The Borg gestures at the door. Ori nods at his team and steps inside, finding Yorinobu sitting in a chair facing the window. Any ideas on who tried to kill you? It'd help narrow the list down at least. Yorinobu? He asks, stepping forwards at the man's lack of response. He spins the chair around and feels his breath falter. Yorinobu's eyes were glasses, his throat torn out and his kimono completely covered in blood. Realization hits him instantly. Oh shit. Bang bang bang. Thud. Crash. Ori kicks the door open and sees Smasher with his fist embedded into a wall. Rebecca on the floor nearby with David standing over her. Sandevistan? A rudimentary implant. The Borg growls and pulls out his arm, causing part of the wall to collapse into itself. Chapter 268. Borg Battle. You killed Yorinobu, Ori exclaims, prompting the traitorous Borg to turn to him. If the man had a face, he'd surely be grinning. Me? No. You infiltrated and killed him under false pretenses, traitors, and frauds, zombie. He says, almost lightly as his shoulder-mounted missile launcher deploys. Shit. David, get everyone out of here. Ori shouts as he activates his own Sandevistan and bolts at Smasher. The Borg uses his own but isn't quite fast enough to avoid the charge, getting slammed in the chest and through a dozen walls, allowing Ori's crew to start escaping. Unfortunately for them, the betrayal wasn't yet complete. Assassins! Sekai Haiwa killed Arasaka-sama. A guard shouts and points his combat shotgun at David, who cuts it in half with his sword, following it up with a stab to the heart. I fucking knew the suits couldn't be trusted. Suits? It's fucking Smasher that did this, Rebecca retorts, throwing a dozen grenades down the hallway where Arasaka soldiers were gathering. Hey, I don't want to say anything, but do you really think the boss can handle Smasher? Leo questions. He'll have to, or I'll murderize his ass, the gremlin exclaims, blasting apart an Arasaka ninja that had tried to sneak up on Sasha. Boom. The building shudders from an explosion, prompting the crew to look at one another. Okay, maybe I can let him off? Smasher digs his feet into the ground, steadily dropping the speed of Ori's charge until he's not able to crash through the next wall. He reaches down and grabs Ori's head and turns it to him, the other reaching for his neck. Just more meat to the pile, zombie. Let's see how tough you really are. Crash. Ori's head bounces off of the floor as the rest of his body takes some time to follow, the sheer force of Smasher's slam leaving a print of his face on the tiles. He barely rolls to the side before 3 blades pierce the ground, the familiar buzz of the vibration mods from the Borg's Wolvers all but screaming danger in his mind. He deploys his monowire and tries to slash behind the Borg's knee at the more fragile components of his Samson frame. Crack. His head darts backwards as the Borg replies with a kick, breaking his nose and most of the bones in his face, reinforced or not. Such a blow would have popped a regular Merc's head like a water balloon. He deploys his ankles and shoots backwards away from the monsters, but regrets it as the beep of Smasher's missile deploying sounds out. Motherfuck dash. Boom. Ori grunts as the missiles hit and the building collapses around him, rubble crushing the breath from his lungs. With the nanites he could stay like this for a day or two, but he wasn't planning on staying here. Neither was Smasher apparently, as a hand pierces through and pulls Ori from his temporary tomb. Is this all you have? Pathetic. Fuck you, traitor. Crack. A punch sends Smasher reeling, stepping backwards and attempting to stop his brain from sloshing around in its casing, finally causing some amount of damage. Ori follows it up by pulling Quadrano from his back and firing all 4 slugs simultaneously, the kick of the weapon almost dislocating his metal arm. Bong. Smasher manages to evade 3 of the depleted uranium slugs, but is forced to intercept the last with his hand, losing 2 fingers in the process. Finally, a good fight. Chue. Both men activate their Sandevistans and Ori cocks the shotgun to fire again, but Smasher speeds towards him with a punch, forcing him to block it with the tungsten barrel, not breaking it, but bending it almost 45 degrees. That cost $20,000 fucking dollars. Charge me, If you survive. Smasher chuckles, slashing with a Wolver claw, while firing a shot from the projectile launch system in his other arm. Ori barely evades it as it blows a rather impressive hole in a block of concrete behind him, which he picks up and throws the next moment. Smasher punches it to smithereens, only to come face to face with Ori's electrified monowire whips. Two slash down on Smasher, who sidesteps it and kicks a chunk of remaining concrete at Ori, which shatters into a sort of stone birdshot that peppers him. It doesn't stop him from thrashing the monowire, however, carving some metal out of the Borg's frame and leaving a molten scar behind. Adam catches the wires mid-flight, however, ceramic plating preventing them from cutting as he begins wrapping it around his left arm, reeling Ori towards him. The Merc tries to pull away but ends up receiving a brain-crushing headbutt from the Borg once in range. Growling, he replies with the same, banging their foreheads together 3 or 4 times, causing the sound of metal against metal to echo out. Had enough? No chance. Ori replies despite feeling like his skull was going to cave in at any moment. Good. Shink. Hark. Ori grunts as Smasher's Wolver claws cut into his stomach. They retract and extend 3 or 4 times before he's finally able to disconnect the monowire and free himself from being further disemboweled. Beep. Eyes widening, he forces his Sandevistan into action, ignoring the literal cooldown period. His spine burns and the smell of cooked meat fills the air as he rockets forwards, sliding behind Smasher and tearing the missile launch system free from his body just as it was beginning to fire. He slides backwards and takes aim, allowing the missiles to all shoot towards the frozen Borg. Boom. Dust and smoke fill the air, and Ori drops the stolen weapon while sucking in air, his wounds stitching themselves closed with the aid of his nanites. Yeah. How about that? Had enough? Red eyes blink to life in the cloud of smoke, and Ori can only sigh in exhaustion. All right then, round 2. He raises his fists. Bring it, you big dickless cunt. Chapter 269. Max Tac T. Go go go. All units converge on dash. Shying. The Arasaka gunner falls to the side as his head flies from his neck, bouncing once before finally settling. His team members can't even react as they follow suit, their own boosterware unable to keep up with the speeds the Merc was moving. David slides to a stop behind a concrete pillar, flicking the blood off of his blade as he tentatively peeks over into the courtyard where Arasaka forces were mounting. The Sekai Hiwa pilots had already been shot down, leaving them stranded as wave after wave of enemies approached. Just getting out of the building and down to the first floor alone was difficult enough, fighting through the automated defenses, mines, and other traps to keep them controlled or killed. Where the hell do we go now? Leo fearfully shouts while blindly firing his rifle over a short concrete plant holder. Where else? We swipe some wheels and go for a joyride. Rebecca snaps at him while clipping an SMG from a corpse and blasting 2 men's heads off. You say that like it's easy? Dash. Heads up. He shouts as a soldier sends a rather large-looking grenade hurtling towards them. I got it, David exclaims, activating his Sandy once more and batting the explosive away with the flat of his sword. Boom. The resulting explosion kills 6 soldiers and destroys 1 APC, sending the large truck rolling through a barbed wire fence and onto the nearby street. Holy crap. That was awesome, Davey. Rebecca cackles. Focus, he growls as his Sandy times out. Gee guys, we're in trouble. Sasha speaks up and points at the 3 Max Tac AVs quickly approaching. OOF***K. We're fucking done, man. Ain't no way we can fight those crazy bastards off. Yeah? Just watch me. Rebecca retorts as she drops her SMG and shoves a peculiar-looking shell into Guts. Try this. Bong. As if it was a tracer round, it shoots a line of red straight towards the leading AV. Unable to avoid it, the pilot tries to take the projectile on the more heavily armored front, but the explosion everyone's expecting doesn't occur as a miniature sun lights up. The hell is that? A kick-ass thermite shot. Rebecca grins, watching as the thing quickly melts through the AV's hull and drops into the cockpit. Before it spins off course, though, the bottom of it opens up and allows the Max Tac soldiers to jump out. The AV crashes into a nearby building and turns to scrap the next moment when it lands on a family saloon that had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. The soldiers themselves land hard in the courtyard, their suits flashing blue as they all engage their boosterware simultaneously. Your kick-ass thermite did F***K all. Leo shouts as the blurs shoot towards them with Militech crushers at the ready. One immediately falls to the ground, however, as Sasha locks down his cyberware. The sudden disruption in speed sends him rolling haphazardly across the ground. The second AV drops more Max Tac men next to the already landed ones, allowing a small army of super-augmented soldiers sprinting at them. Even David was feeling pretty hopeless. His Sandevistan was definitely faster than theirs, but it didn't last as long and wouldn't even the odds. 16 Max Tac soldiers were simply too much. Why yire? Thankfully, it seemed luck was on the crew side as a nearby wall explodes and 2 figures gripping each other, fighting midair shoot across the clearing and rolled to a stop in front of the approaching max-tac units. "Jeeve up, you're finished." Adam Smasher growls as he shifts his large body over Ori and drives a fierce punch down at him, Wolver claws extended. Ori shifts and barely avoids it before shifting his hips up and instinctively wrapping his legs around Smasher's neck to choke him out, only afterwards realizing that this wouldn't do anything against the Borg. So, before Smasher could do anything, he brings his feet back and grinds his heels against the Borg's face, deploying his ankle propulsion system. Clank. Smasher's multi-ton body flips backwards through the air from the sudden hit. He hits the ground heavily but immediately stands, brushing himself off while cracking his cybernetic knuckles as if nothing had happened. "Adam Smasher, sir." A max-tac soldier slides to a stop a good distance from the cyborg, his colleagues following as they had no idea how the man would react. Smasher glances from Ori and at the soldiers. "What?" "I'm busy," he growls. "Be busy getting your ass kicked." Ori retorts, chest heaving as he breathes heavily. He shoots a look at his crew, who were warily watching. "I'll hold him off, get out of the jammer, and leave with Falco." "Ori." "What?" "No fucking way, Dash. Shut up and do it." "Ori." With that, he takes a step forward to draw their attention from Rebecca's shout back to himself. "So, Smasher, scared enough that you brought in backup?" "Shut your fucking mouth, meat." He points a hand which was missing some fingers at the remaining Arasaka soldiers and Max Tac. "Kill the ants." "Why yes, sir, Dash." Bang. The Max Tac soldiers falls backwards with a hole in his head, courtesy of 6 revolver in Ori's hand. "Actually, F***K it. I'll take all you gonks on." He twirls the revolver back into its holster and activates his Sandevistan before throwing himself at the group of soldiers, ignoring Smasher completely. "That's our chance. Run," David hurriedly says, breaking out from his cover and towards the collapsed fence. He's forced to shove Rebecca along due to her resistance to leaving Ori, but common sense eventually prevails once the chaos finally erupts. Chapter 270, Fight and Flight. Errg. Good savez-me. Crunch. Ori shakes the blood and gray matter from his fist and moves on to his next target, sliding over and grabbing the man's foot before swinging him backwards to use as a living shield against the charging Atom Smasher. The Borg doesn't give a single shit and cleaves the man in half before making a grab at Ori, only for the Merc to dart to the side, blocking a slug with his arm and clotheslining the offending Max-Tac soldier hard enough to behead him. "You're dead." Smasher growls as he pursues, but even with his own booster wear, he wasn't as maneuverable as Ori, who continued to duck and weave through the panicking soldiers. Ori pushes a shotgun to the sky, while redirecting another at his side to the soldier's colleague. The man flinches and accidentally pulls the trigger, killing his own. Ori snatches the crusher out of the other's hand and bats both over the heads with it, splitting their skulls while snapping the gun in half. He then grabs the 2 bodies in either hand to block a barrage of shots from the remaining Arasaka soldiers, only to grunt as Smasher crushes a soldier and rams his Wolver claw through Ori's back. It hadn't cut his spine, but it was perilously close to it. Ori replies with a metal elbow to the Borg's face, rocking him, but yelps as 2 Max-Tac men speed forwards and start unloading their crushers into his chest and face. The slugs break through his defenses, turning his organs to mulch while he loses an eye in the process. The nanites turning his face pitch black while reinforcing it is barely enough to stop them from destroying his brain, but the vision was spinning regardless. He wasn't able to extract himself from Smasher's claws, but the nanites were working on it, using microgenerators to melt them within his body as fast as possible. By this time, however, Smasher had already reached around with his other hand to Ori's neck, gripping it tightly. "This is your end meat." He spits as he twists, snapping Ori's neck with a sick crack. His body goes limp, but his eyes stay widened and focused. "Motherfucker!" he shouts despite everything from the neck down being paralyzed. "I might be," Smasher smugly remarks. "You have something I want. You will die later," he states and looks to the speckled groups of survivors. "Is the pilot dead?" "Why yes, sir." "Get another. We're heading back to HQ." He growls, maintaining a crushing grip on Ori's neck, aware of how quickly the Merc could heal. Smasher, how's it been being a corpo slave? That body isn't even yours, is it? Bought and paid for, now shut it. You think I won't tell everyone with ears you killed Urinabu? Don't give AF***K. You want your jaw? My what dash? Skun. Ori barely holds in a scream as Adam grips his lower jaw and tears it completely off, flesh and tendons separating and hanging from his face, his tongue left dangling. "Ready to operate. Flesh Administrator," the collective report while disabling the pain receptors in his face, allowing him to focus. Troops are sent off to search for his escaped crew, but he knew they were long gone. With Lucy in DeepNet, Kiwi and Sasha with Falco, there was no chance of them getting tracked down. "Yes, sir. Some of the guys want summer payback?" An Arasaka grunt quietly asks Smasher, his friends waiting behind him with crossed arms. Adam tilts his head at them and shakes Ori's limp body slightly. Him? He questions if they meant him or the prisoner. Him, sir. The board shrugs. Go ahead. He won't feel shit though, he says, holding Ori up like a punching bag. Ugh, this is gonna take a while. 10 minutes later, they were in an AV headed for Arasaka Tower, Smasher still gripping Ori's neck like a vice. His jaw had already regrown, but he'd wisely kept his silence, until now. Hey, Smasher. What? Me? Do I need to tear out your tongue this time? Knock, knock. Come on, play along. Quiet. Fine. Ori mutters. Let's go. He mentally orders the nanites, who expel the newly regrown monowire from his wrist, wrapping it around Smasher's knee and pulling hard, severing vital fragile components. What? Smasher growls as he drops to a knee, Ori's body smashing his elbow into the Borg's face to escape his grasp. The other soldiers in the cabin go to act, but he sweeps the monowire around, cutting them to pieces, along with breaching the hull of the AV. Beep, 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 beep. Alarms blare as the wire catches and short-circuits an engine, and the nanites take full advantage by throwing Ori's body against the breach. He crashes through the metal and is sent tumbling to the city below. No, not the city, the river between City Central and Japantown. Fuck you, SMS error, he shouts as he falls, cackling as the enraged cyborg grips the severed walls of the AV and slams them closed like a door. Slam. Smasher stomps into the corporate room despite his sparking knee and glares at the occupants, his red optics glowing dangerously. Are you playing with me? Hanako Arasaka crosses her legs, Sandeo Oda and Takamura Goro standing protectively at her back. I suppose you lost the prisoner then? Whose fucking fault do you think that is? You forget to mention he didn't need his spine to move, he glowers. Mind your tongue. Oda exclaims with a glare. Fuck you. I did my job, and you give me faulty intel? I told you what we know. The target can operate while unconscious, and can recover quickly from any wounds, even fatal ones. It is you who should have suspected he had more tricks. Hanako neutrally states. And what now? He's gone. Dust in the wind. Our contract doesn't mean shit. Hanako stepless her fingers. He won't leave. Not while he still has resources. Get yourself prepared and ready. The assault on Sekai Hiwa will begin soon. Chapter 271. Lake Metal. Judy, fucking black alert. Liquidate everything. Recover Christie from whatever the K-op she's currently on. Hanako played her hand, and we're looking at a grade B to a fucked sitch right about now. Ori. Ori? Where the hell are you? The others think you got scrapped by Smasher. Judy. I'm at the bottom of the canal right now. Heavy-ass chrome and water don't mix. Don't send an evac. It'll be spotted a mile off by the search crews looking for my corpse. While I'm marching my ass to Zombie HQ, you get everything of worth out. Get our runners on double time. I wouldn't put it past Arasaka to shoot that fucking soul killer thing at us. Ori. Yorinobu's assassination is all over the net. Are you sure it was even Arasaka? For all we know, Smasher could have swapped creds. Judy. Don't waste time with jank F***K questions. Even if it ain't Hanako, we got about 2 hours before the whole city is on our ass. Not mentioning the 2 AVs full of max tac we zeroed. Just dump everything and anything related to Sekai Hiwa and Delta. Get a Virtu scrub while you're at it. People might not know your face, but they'll look for you anyway. Now chow. I got half a mile till I get to shore. Ori. Beep. Bubbles expel from his mouth and nose as he grunts in annoyance. While he'd been expecting things to fall apart, he hadn't thought it was gonna go like this. A controlled demolition is what he wanted, not Yorinobu suicide bombing at his doorstep. Fucking Hanako should have flatlined the bitch when he had the chance, Yorinobu's love for his sister or not. He swats away a plastic bag and continues wading through the seabed. The nanites had given him makeshift gills to survive this, but breathing water made it feel like he was perpetually drowning. If he could scream right now, he would, but he needed to stay on task and in focus. Shit had hit the fan and it was only just getting started. The HQ of Sekai Hiwa was in an absolute state. While officially everything was still above board, the staff knew better than that. While most of them didn't give a shit about the state of affairs around the higher-ups, the fact that more than half of Sekai Hiwa's stock had been dropped within an hour had spread like wildfire. Most considered it rumors or whatever, but those in the know were preparing their own get-out plans. The smart ones were already gone. Even Ori's crew had ducked into the Zombie HQ and were licking their wounds after the shit show that was the parade. Most weren't strangers to fucked up gigs, but that didn't mean everyone was okay with it. Leo sat rocking in the corner of the room with his face buried in his hands, an unusual look for a hardened prisoner, former or not. It didn't escape him how quickly he'd fallen in the shit with this crew. When he joined, he assumed he'd be doing the usual Edgerunner work, klepping for scavs or acting as a bodyguard for those who couldn't afford the security corps. Now he'd been helping remove higher-up Arasaka members, and was even involved in the murder of the goddamned CEO. Ignoring that, though, he was more concerned about the secret he'd been forced to keep. After all, What were the chances that David had ended up in the same cell as his old friend? He should have just told those Arasaka grunts to F***K off, but now he was between a rock and a hard place. He knew the boss, Ori, didn't like him, but Arasaka had his sitch and was asking, or better yet demanding answers. He'd been played. If he didn't kick something back to them, they'd spill the beans to Zombie and he'd get flatlined. If he played ball and Zombie found out, he'd be worse than flatlined. Shit. He hadn't seen much yet, but the rumors of the guy actually eating people didn't seem all that far-fetched. Word got back that he'd survived Smasher and was headed back, which only lent credence to his skill. No regular Chrome Fiend could survive a fight with the Oni and escape, especially with an army at his back. Damn. Leo, you alright? You've been looking out at it since we got back? David questions, concerned. Leo shrugs and makes a show of rubbing the freshly stitched bullet wound at his shoulder. Just in my own head. You know how it is, Davy. Thought you'd been schmoozing it up with your runner friend by now? David's expression didn't shift. Not even a blush as he crooks a brow. Yeah, and? Just saying. You think this is all gonna work out okay? I was under the impression we were betting on that Yorinobu F***K to keep things moving. We may do in Vegas. We'll lose a shitload of EDS ditching Sekai Haiwa, but it's better than going down with the ship. Leo frowns. You say that like that's not what we're doing. What you mean? David replies, brow furrowed. I mean, where do you see this ending? Our guy, the one chance at burning Arasaka, is dead. We'll be framed for his murder soon enough. Do you really think there'll be a place we can run and hide? Arasaka ain't so easy to escape. I know. We know, he corrects himself, but there ain't any better options right now. We could turn to Militech, but they worked with Faraday to F***K with us last time. Every corp is a shit-shoveling tire fire. Can't trust him as far as you can throw them. You saw the same shit I did when we were younger. You know as well as me that this world is fucked because of them. We keep moving forward. That's the only path we got left. Leo looks up at his friend with a subdued look. You sure that's the only choice we got? Or are you letting your biases get the better of you? He asks, lips firmed. Chapter 272. Exodus. Are you letting your biases get the better of you? The hell's that supposed to mean? David growls. Leo shrugs, just a skin. Sounds to me like you've put all your eggs in Zombie, but can that guy be trusted? You sure he won't throw you and your gal to the flames if it helps him? He would never do that. David growls. You sure? Not even for amnesty from Arasaka? They want Lucy, right? What if he tossed you and her at them as scapegoats? What do you really know about him? Side that he's fucking that white shorty. David leans forwards and rests a hand on Leo's shoulder, gripping it tight enough for the man to wince. Rebecca. Her name's Rebecca. Use it. He releases him. You're new to the crew, so you don't know. There's one thing he values more than Eddie's, cred, chrome, or any of that shit. It's loyalty. Stop being a fucking pansy and man up. He lightly palms Leo across the face, causing the man to stare at him in disbelief. You signed up for this. He pulled your ass out of jail, so keep your fucking end of it. I vouched for you. Don't make me regret it. And Tinder? See, solo a Segurandome? Yes, just making sure, Leo replies, allowing David to let out a breath of relief and return to Lucy. Ori finally makes his way out of the canal and climbs up the ladder leading to the riverside street. Toxic water pooling off of him and onto the floor, prompting pedestrians to make way. He tries to wring his Sekai Haiwa jacket out before giving up and discarding it, leaving him in only a tank top. Resources at 22%, requesting alleviation before further combat. Flesh Administrator. Yeah. I'm not fighting Smasher again without a meal. He glances around and spots a few food stalls lined up. Oi, I'm buying all the food you got. Give it here, he demands while snatching a burrito out of a patron's hand and eating it in one go. The F***K? Dash. The man trails off as the barrel of Ori's revolver digs into his forehead. Got a problem? No, man. We're good. Ori nods as the man runs off, shooting 1,000 eddies at each of the stall owners as he drops onto a stool. Well, I ain't got all day. Be quick and a tip's waiting for you. As long as you're okay with takoyaki. Beep. Bro. What the F***K? Did you not think it'd be a good idea to tell me you were planning to off the Emperor's son? Quentin. It wasn't planned. Smasher framed us. Ori. Like it matters. Almost a quarter of my contracts are mixed up with Sekai Haiwa, all of which started dropping like flies once you started dumping stocks. Don't tell me you didn't have time to bring me in on it. Quentin. I've spent more than 30 minutes under the canal. I got thrown out of the AV. Adam fucking Smasher was holding me in. Do you really think I have time to think about contracts right now? Ori. You think I care? I've had to pack all my shit up and wire as much cash as I can to an offshore bank. And C is a no-go for me now, because we're friends. I'll tell you I'm going to Seattle to set up shop again and hope Arasaka doesn't find my ass. Good luck with whatever the F***K scheme you're in. Quentin. Yeah, Good luck to you too, asshole. Ori. Beep. 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 So. Rogue. 4F ** K's sake. Do you have many people are pinging me right now? Ori. So I heard you fought Smasher. How was it? Rogue. He sighs and continues shoveling food into his mouth. Maybe if he played along with her, she'd have a way to help him out. It was a long shot, but he didn't really have much to go off of right now. Like nailing my balls to a moving AV and jumping off. Ori. I'm being serious. This intel is important. Rogue. Yeah? So am I. The guy's got every implant you can name aside from a functioning cyberdeck. He used a Sandy on and off with no strain. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had a Berserk module activated at all times. I'll just send you the recording of the fight. Make up your mind from there, if you can afford it. Ori. Afford it? How about I pay by not sending Arasaka your debts? Rogue. Stop playing and help me out. You hate Saka and Smasher more than anyone. Ori. If you must know, the corpse gathering to raid Sekai Highway HQ, NCPD is giving them free reign. Media are already stamping the zombie name on Yorinobu's assassination, so you got about a day before every man, woman, and child in NC are gunning for you, somehow more than before. Rogue. The sitch on Hanako Arasaka? Ori. A grieving sister who is hellbent on getting revenge for her brother and father. Since someone killed off most of the board members, she's already begun looking to fill it with her own people. Give it a month, and her people from Japan will get here, and you'll have no chance. Rogue. Don't suppose you go any plans of your own? You know, to help bring down a corp? Ori. I did, but you kicked the wasp nest. Any plans I had are dead or redundant. You're on your own here, and I'd appreciate it if you kept the afterlife out of this shitstorm. Rogue. He rubs his face and shoots her the recordings of his fight with Smasher, along with whatever intel he'd figured out outside of it. Her hunting Smasher only benefited him right now, and he could use any distraction he could get. Chapter 273, # in. Ori, Rebecca exclaims as he stumbles into the hideout, only for him to push her away and walk past towards the armory. What's that for, asshole? Can't talk. Don't have much time. Gonna get rid of an annoyance before it can ruin more of my shit. He hurriedly says, throwing the already opening metal door open and grabbing a large sniper mounted on the wall. He throws on a large silencer on the ridiculously sized barrel of the gun, screws on a ×15 magnification sight, and slides in a comically large magazine of 25mm depleted uranium rounds. A custom weapon made by Rebecca she fondly called Glory Hole, because if it hits you it's either that or Red Rain. Even she, with her specifically tailored cyberware, couldn't fire it more than a couple times due to it essentially being a cannon you could carry. Ori was bruised every time he test-fired it, even if such injuries healed almost instantly. Still, its sheer penetrative and stopping power wasn't to be dismissed. He was hoping this would put Smasher out of commission. He throws on his old synth leather jacket and drops the rifle on his shoulder before making his way out, or tries to at least. The short form of Rebecca stayed crossed-armed in his path, clearly on a short fuse after everything that had occurred today. Why are you even going? We got almost everything out of the corp. If you really want to smash the freak, why not plan it like we usually do? Going out alone is retarded, and you know it. It's an assassination job. If I fucked it up, I'm running. I can't have the rest of you weighing me down. I promise I'll be back soon, successful or not. He walks past and exits, not even 5 minutes since he entered. I'd rather you didn't do that, V states, standing at the armory door as Rebecca strapped gun after gun onto herself. We all heard what he said. Going after him is only going to K up whatever shit plan he's got. Fuck off. You have any idea how many times that asshole's done this? He thinks we're all useless, and I've had it. I'm gonna show him that I'm not just his fucking cocksleeve. She cocks a large sawn-off shotgun before strapping it onto her leg. Johnny looks at V from where he was sitting on the table next to Rebecca. Not that she could see him, of course. Get this girl in line before she gets herself killed. Sure, I'd rather you be the one to put Smasher out of his misery, but we both know that ain't happening. That said, your boss probably wouldn't appreciate his input getting offed under your watch. V removes her gaze from Johnny and to Rebecca, who'd given up trying to stuff the 7th rifle into a duffel bag. I get it, but you're being a gonk. Kick the shit out of him when he gets back. Don't risk both your lives chasing after him now. But no. If you're willing to go out now, I say you just leave him. If he's pissing you off so much like this, why are you two even a couple? The sex that preem? Or are you just overreacting? The sex is pretty preem, hey. That's not the point. She shakes the thought from her head and shouts. V folds her arms and frowns behind her helmet. Yeah, the point is to get both of you zeroed. But hey, I'm just some gonk who's barely even a rookie here. Do what you want. She shrugs and walks away. Rebecca looks down at her guns and after a moment, throws them all to the ground and stomps off. Fuck. Ori steps out of the elevator and drops the rifle onto the ledge of the roof. aiming a mile away at the Sekai Hiwa HQ where the Arasaka forces were massing. The NCPD had set up barriers around the outskirts of it, preventing civvies from going near the combat zone, and police drones were buzzing around blurting orders, despite the few scavs milling around checking to see if they could clep something in the chaos. Even the fucking vultures were out, Media Corps looking to eat up whatever drama they could get. Maybe even on Hanako's peril too. He shakes his head and adjusts the scope, bringing it into focus on the courtyard where the Arasaka soldiers were. Come on you big Borg F***K, you're not gonna miss this after I clowned your ass. He growls under his breath, noting Smasher's suspicious absence. A shadow passes overhead as an AV blots out the sun above him. It circles around and eventually lands in the courtyard. Smasher steps out first, followed by some ninja-looking Arasaka grunt and a heavily armed squad. This the place? Why haven't we flattened it yet? It's already abandoned. Smasher irritably growls, stopping in place to survey the area. Sekai Hiwa had many defenses, and while the Arasaka netrunners were trying to disable them, the fleeing Sekai Hiwa staff were doing the same remotely. Ori wasn't thinking about this, however, as he aimed Smasher, the nanites granting aid with every system possible, calculating trajectory, wind patterns, humidity, and fall-off. He takes a deep breath, holds it, then fires. Boom. Even with the silencer, the sound of the gun firing generates enough force to kick up dust and other lighter items nearby. Ori grunts lightly from the kick alone, but doesn't close his eyes as the bullet breaks the sound barrier with a crack. He watched it shoot through the air directly at the Borg's skull. Unfortunately, Smasher must have noticed something, be it the reflection of the bullet in nearby glass or something from the corner of his eye. The Borg had enough time to turn and raise his arms up, taking the heavy bullet straight on. Sparks flash, and Smasher is covered in a cloud of smoke as everyone nearby panics. Civvies, media, and even some of the NCPD hurriedly retreat from what to them sounding like a lightning strike. Chapter 274, VD. Ori eyes the cloud of smoke with a scowl, hoping to see the mangled body of Smasher once it clears. His expectations are dashed though as a red eye opens within the smog. The Borg was still standing tall, but he didn't get off unharmed. Both arms from the elbow down were gone, spikes of broken black metal that glowed an eerie hot red. A large scar was prominent on his face, one eye completely gone. Gonk cunt. Ori sucks his teeth and cocks another shot. He fires again, trying to predict Smasher as the Borg activates his Sandy and bolts to safety. The distance combined with Smasher's speed and awareness allows him to avoid the bullet, which zips past and almost cuts a car in half as it hits, instantly killing the cops inside. Smasher was gone, and Ori was left holding a bag of shit with half the city now looking at his location. He didn't need someone to tell him to bounce, so he grabs his shit and flees. Plunk. Ori stumbles back into the base and tosses Glory Hole onto the floor, not bothering to even react to the drop kick sent at his face. He takes it like a man, a very tired man, and stops the chibi from falling to the ground. You asshole. I failed. Again. He sighs. Yeah, you did. You didn't even get him. I shot his arms off. He's a Borg. He probably already has new ones. Yeah, I know. He sighs again, carrying her into the common room where everyone was waiting. Sitting in front of the TV which was playing the news. Unsurprisingly, the name Zombie was being flashed all over for the attempted assassination of Smasher. He was pretty sure this was good PR though, which confuses him as to why they were showing it. After all, seeing the big bad boogeyman run away with his arms blown off ruined whatever rep he'd accumulated. If the guy wasn't fuming, Ori would be very surprised. Soon as he dropped Rebecca onto the couch, receiving a swat to the face from her, he notices the glare V was sending his way. While she had a mask on, he could tell from her posture alone. Yorinobu's death was a big problem in their plans, hers especially considering she had a relatively short expiration date. Ignoring that, he called up Judy and asked for the sitch, finding that she'd successfully moved around 50% of their equipment to their hidden base in the Badlands, specifically, the old biotechnical lair that had been abandoned after he and his crew raided it. After he'd gotten everyone up to date, V pulled him into a room and stripped her helmet off, shoving it into his chest with a scowl. Well, what now? 'Cause far as I can see I'm fucked, she growls. Honestly, I don't know. Did the AV with Hellman leave? Long gone. Any idea where? Kong Tao, probably in China hoping Arasaka forgot about him. Not likely, but even if we found him it'd be too late for you, he mutters under his breath. V sighs and looks to the side at the ghost of Johnny. Any ideas? He shrugs and takes his aviators off to look her in the eye better. No, none that'd save you anyway, but if you ever want to go out on your terms, I've got some thoughts. Yeah? She offers enthusiastically. He gives a brief nod. Yeah. I say we take what we can carry, storm Arasaka Tower, and tear the place apart until we find what we need. If fail, well, least you'll go down a legend. Like you, she snorts lightly. As if you could be as badass as me, he chuffs. But maybe you could come somewhere close. All that's left of the Arasaka bloodline is Hanako. I'd say kicking mud on the Emperor's ancestors is a good enough reward for the risk. Just to spite a dead man? I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem very worthwhile to me. It isn't like Arasaka would end afterwards. Someone would take control, even if it isn't Arasaka blood. Johnny chuckles. It's the Bushido BS. Saburo'd be spinning in his grave if someone else took control of the family fortune. I'd say it's fair payback for hitting me with Soul Killer. She rubs her forehead, ignoring Ori, who was observing her silent conversation. I want to live. It ain't like I want to die either. I just know there's bigger things than me in this. Johnny retorts, is notions like that which are the reason this world went to shit. If those corpo assholes could consider someone else for a single moment dash, things would be different. V shakes her head. Can't change human nature. She lets out another sigh and looks to Ori. Know what? I'll call you if I decide something. I'll see if I can find help elsewhere. When she goes to leave, Ori grips her elbow, stopping her in place. Help from who? Arasaka? He inquires, tone sharp. Like the ghost in my head would let me do that. Fucker already tried to kill me once. He'd have a reason this time. I'm going to the afterlife. Maybe Rogue knows something. She won't. And are you really going to trust the body stealer in your head? She might. Besides, Johnny's actually kept his word so far. Compare that to you and I'll hedge my bets. She states, snatching her arm back and marching out. Well, at least he didn't have to worry about the Nanites protesting if she dies. Now, he had a gun gremlin to pacify before she does something stupid. Chapter 275. And see repeat. 3 days, that's how long it had been since Sekai Hiwa was dismantled by Arasaka. In that time, Ori's crew had torn apart most of their hidden bases and moved almost everything into the Badlands, meeting up with what was left of the more valuable Sekai Hiwa members who were in the know. They still had a mountain of eddies, but they weren't worth much when you couldn't use them. Arasaka and most other corps in Night City had gone on a manhunt for them, and the only places that were willing to trade were some of the more civilized nomad gangs, like the Aldecaldos for instance. The nomads had actually been more receptive to them once they realized who they were. Being part of the zombie crew earned major respect apparently. Enough so that the local wraiths packed their shit and began efforts to relocate to another city entirely. Of course, that meant Arasaka also had a general idea as to where they were, but Ori was surprised that none of the Aldecaldos had squealed about their location to the squads of Arasaka soldiers that occasionally visited, attempted to draw out answers through intimidation, bribes, or outright threats. The destruction of Sekai Hiwa and death of Yorinobu had ruined any plans Ori had, and his heavily encrypted chats with Wakako revealed that she'd gone straight into hiding after the debacle. With V's disappearance, Ori was grasping at straws. He'd considered throwing the rest of his funds at Rogue to form a mercenary army in some haphazard attempt to assault Arasaka, but he knew there'd be so many moles and traitors that 80% of the Mercs would end up turning against him. Thus, he spent his time with the Nanites, burying his head in subnets with the help of Sasha, Kiwi, and Lucy to learn as much as possible. If he couldn't get revenge on Arasaka his way, he'd simply borrow plans from someone else. Unfortunately, before he could start enacting his plans for a second or third Holocaust, something else got in the way. Ori growled as the lock on the car's door swung open, allowing dust and sand to pool into the interior. He has driven a shit hatchback he'd bought from the Aldecaldos to keep under the core radar while out on supply runs, yet maybe getting attacked in his sleep was better than this? The trailer on the back of the car bounced and swayed on the dirt path, tied down bags jumping dangerously. He was not getting out again to pick that shit up. Thankfully, he passed the rocky wall where the hidden base was located, but as he spotted the cave entrance, his expression fell. One Arasaka AV and 2 heavy trucks were parked out front. They found us? Hell fucking no. He palms the steering wheel, denting it as he sped up, all while leaning out of the window and shooting the latch connecting the trailer to disconnect it, then drove head first into the single truck that was occupied. Crash. The front of his car flattens like a slinky as it collides, barely flipping the truck onto his side. Ori, unable to wear his seatbelt due to the Aldecaldos' confusing aversion to them, flew out of the front windscreen like an arrow. He went through the bottom of the truck, leaving his head and upper body sticking out from the footrest, easily visible to the 2 Arasaka soldiers currently trying to recover their composure. What the F*** K? One of them shouts, getting one stomp on Ori's face before he rips himself out and tears the guy's throat out with his teeth. The next guy draws his pistol, but isn't able to use it as Ori's metal fist flattens his face against the headrest. He shakes his fist off and jacks into the truck's comm systems, getting an earful of the squads inside the hideout. Boozch, ucking Dutch bags barricaded themselves in after BZ's H. Earth got captured. The BZ's H. Don't pay me enough for this, a voice says, crackling and distorting from being underground. Ori's eyes dart around as the word captured echoes in his head. Unfortunately, the other truck was vacant and the AV only seemed to have a single pilot who was hurriedly trying to start the aircraft. Next to it were indentations in the ground where another AV had been, apparently the thing that had escorted his crew out. His form flashes as he activates his Sandevistan, reappearing atop the cockpit's glass and spearing his hand through the pilot. The man lets out a wet gurgle before expiring, allowing Ori to jump off and make his way into the cave entrance. Those Arasaka cunts better hope they don't K me off with this, he growls, stifling the worry threatening to bubble up for his comrades. He'd get back whoever was captured, even if he had to storm Arasaka Tower solo. Brushing his tongue over his front teeth, he cuts through the hideout's door with his electrified monowire, causing the Arasaka troops stationed there to turn and raise their weapons. Their limbs fall to the ground with a sickening squelch as he zips past, and the men only realize that their spines had been severed after he exits the hallway to the sound of harrowed screams. The common rooms were empty, drinks and food were scattered across the coffee table and floor next to the television, and the on-site bar was completely trampled. There were a few bodies littered around, but thankfully none were the crew's. The other rooms were no better, but halfway through his search the sound of gunfire started up again. He rushed towards it, quickly finding 10 or so men focusing their fire on the door leading to the security room. A sweep of his monowire later, and they were of no issue. "Hey, who's there?" he shouts through the locked door. "Ori," a voice quirks. Sasha and Falco poke their heads over an upturned table, both looking absolutely relieved.